Welcome back to another deadline stream for FPL ahead of Game Week 10. We are 2 hours and 30 minutes away from the deadline. We are doing it slightly earlier because, I had everything set up, and why not? Just to get some more questions and comments in, of course, from everyone watching. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. We're going to try to get this stream to over 200 likes, and we're also pushing on towards 22,000 subscribers. We hit 21,000 just before the Tuesday deadline stream, so thank you very much to those that have supported the channel, also the channel members and patrons. Obviously, a huge shout out goes to you as well. But let's get straight into your questions as always, and there's already a lot, so I'm going to try my best to get through absolutely every single comment posted today. E.G. Ryan says, I can only get Saka if I sell Son, but I would still have Maddison. Would you do that? If I don't, then I could sell Maddison to Bowen and Neto to Matoma, then a doggy to Simicast -4 with 0.2 million in the bank, no Saka. I still think it is potentially worth it to do Son to Saka. I discussed both in my trans tips video the other day, and for me, Heung-min Son is a hold. The only two players I would sell him to are Salah and Saka, so I think that first move is already just fine. You've already got Maddison to cover the Spurs attack, and look, I've sold a doggy. I'll talk about my transfers very soon. I discussed that in yesterday's team selection video, but if I'm being completely honest, I think a doggy will feature today and probably start the match, so yeah, I think the best option for you is selling Son to Saka for free. Same says, hi Dylan, would you do Porro out for a free transfer? And if yes, then for who? There's very few defenders I would sell Porro to at this moment in time. Simicast could be one of them. Gabriel Magalhaes, even Saliba, Ben White. I'd say Trippier is obviously going to be a standout most weeks, even with the tougher fixtures coming up. But yeah, it's a really kind of exclusive club of defenders I'd sell Porro to. And I think Spurs will probably keep the clean sheet today, and Borro has a good chance of attacking potential in the coming weeks. But of course, I can see why you might want to sell him. I've also sold a doggy myself, and to be honest, that's one of the things I partially regret with the transfers I made yesterday night. But I don't think you need to sell Borro, to be honest with you. Lager says, hello Dylan, we're starting to climb in the ranks finally. Thoughts on Neto to Diaby or Matoma? Yeah, hopefully it continues, of course, Lager. Neto to Diaby or Matoma? Look, I do like Neto at his price and below, but I do think the other two are significant upgrades with fixtures in mind. And I also think Neto and Wolves might struggle a little bit in the coming weeks. So if I were to make that move, I'd probably go all in on Aston Villa. And I also believe Diaby will get more minutes than Matoma potentially over the next 5 to 6 game weeks. But I do recognise it can go either way. And Bowen would be the kind of ideal pick. You probably have him already. But from those two, it's probably Diaby for me. Matoma is still a fine option, and he has better long-term fixtures, you could argue. But Aston Villa's turned for the worse around Game Week 15. They've also got a tough game in Game Week 13 against Tottenham. As for Brighton, they've got 6 great fixtures coming up consecutively, and they can do extremely well. So I can see why you want to get Matoma, but I do prefer Diaby slightly, just slightly. Alex says, hey Dylan, Saka and Neto or Maddison and Matoma? That's really tough, but I'm probably going for Saka Neto, just about. Munir says, Watkins or Saka captain? I've currently got Saka as my vice, so you can see what I think of that there. I also put a poll out on my channel. Be sure to check it out. I think it's got a few hundred votes, even possibly thousands. So the community have cast their vote and given their opinion. Salah is top, and I'm actually going to go for it very soon, potentially, just so we can all see, who the best captaincy options are this week. Burn to Simicast, already own Trippier. A bit similar to Same's question. I don't think it's an absolutely necessary transfer, and I wouldn't mind doubling up on Newcastle defensively this week. Dan Burn offers terrific value in the long term too. But if you want to diversify your defense and, maybe you're burning a transfer, you don't want to burn that transfer, then fair enough. Burn to Simicast is fine. I just don't think it's necessary, to be honest. We also have a message from Ogundare Phillips. I hope you're having a great weekend, bro. Thank you very much. Likewise to you. Hope you're having a great weekend and a great week next week coming up. Hey, Dylan, which option should I pick? Says Sidindra. So he puts A, Adingra and Archer, B, João Pedro and McAtee, C, Matoma and a 6.4 million midfielder, or a 6.4 million striker and don't own Bowen, D, Nketiah, Matoma, Bowen and don't own Saka. The thing is with option D, though, I like Matoma and Bowen, but not having Saka, I mean, fair enough, you can't have everyone, but having Nketiah, I'm not a big fan of that. I can see why, with Jesus potentially out for the next couple of weeks, it looks like, if Arteta can be believed, which I'm not so sure about. From those that you mentioned, I think my favourite will be Adingra and Archer. And I'm not a massive fan of Adingra FPL-wise, but he has potential. He's got a decent goal and assist output so far this season. And with the fixtures, I'd probably be tempted to go in that direction, assuming, of course, you can also get Bowen and Saka, which you can't in some of the other scenarios. Snipe Master says, hi Dylan, how are you doing? I turn 19 tomorrow. Happy belated birthday. I don't think I'm doing a reaction stream tomorrow, possibly on the Sunday, but we can also congratulate there as well. Hopefully you have a great 19th birthday. Mr. Iceman says, took a -4. Saka, Tsimikas, Palmer for Diaby, Anderson and Gordon. Team value is disastrous for me. Yeah, surprisingly mine is decent. And I think the wildcard helped because I wildcarded on a Saturday. I built up a lot of team value. But look, those transfers look absolutely fine. The only issue I would have, because I do like Gordon, and also Diaby facing Luton Town, but you should make up that hit with the moves you're making. And look, with Cole Palmer, he's a good option at 5 million and below. With the fixtures, I'm a bit apprehensive about him. That's why I talked about skipping him a few weeks ago. And I think the penalties have inflated his scores, but he is on penalties. That's another string to his bow. And all the best with those transfers. I think Saka and Tsimikas are great moves. I've also made the same. So for those of you that aren't aware, and by the way, thank you very much, Mr. Iceman, I've made 3 transfers, which I discussed in yesterday's team selection video. And okay, hear me out. I'll try to explain it as best as I can, but I did get rid of Son for Saka, first of all. I also did Ward-Prowse to Bowen, and in order to fund both of those moves, I had to take a -4 hit and downgrade a doggy to Tsimikas. And my only regret there is that maybe I could have sold Joachim Andersen instead, played a doggy today, and I think Spurs will keep the clean sheet. And I also have a sneaky feeling that a doggy will start. So that's something where I could regret it. Of course, Son has a good record against Palace. That could also backfire. But I think in the long term, the Saka move is pretty decent. And most importantly, I'm downgrading, in my opinion, the biggest weak link in my starting 11, which was Ward-Prowse, and going up to Jarrod Bowen. I just don't like Ward-Prowse playing so deep. So as a result, I had to find ways of finding the funds, and to do so, I did Son to Saka and also a doggy to Tsimikas. If I could just do Ward-Prowse to Burn for free, I would have done that and rolled a second transfer, but with my budget, I wasn't able to do so, and I had to take a -4 hit, and it can be very risky to sell 2 Spurs players, and I think both of them will start, and they can do extremely well today, but it is what it is. Let's see how it goes, and it should still be a decent week, or at least a solid foundation for the coming weeks coming up, because yeah, I still think it's in good shape. I've got most of the key options, and you can't cover everybody, as we all know. Lager says Gabriel or Tsimikas. I think Arsenal are better defensively. And look, with Tsimikas, he is kind of more of a exciting pick. He's a left back. He can get the assists. I think he got 4 in 9 last season, and 9 starts, that is. And I also think with Robertson out for 3 months, it's a big opportunity to find that differential. And Tsimikas' ownership is around 5%. So my personal preference would still be Gabriel, and you might be saying, well, Dylan, why didn't you do that yourself? Because I couldn't afford Gabriel with the other moves that I made, and I had to find that compromise and the extra 0.2, 0.3 million. That's why I went with Tsimikas. Otherwise, I probably would have gone for Gabriel. The only thing you could maybe consider as well is bring Tsimikas in now in Game Week 10. Gabriel then faces Newcastle in Game Week 11, while Tsimikas faces Luton Town. And then in Game Week 12, when Gabriel has Burnley at home, that's when you can also bring him in and have both at the same time. But in terms of who I think is the best option long-term, it's Gabriel. El Padrino says, big up Dylan, my guy. Thank you very much. Also, 2 messages up here that I just saw. Alan Zared says, hi Dylan, I don't have Watkins and feel I may lose big time this week. I've already done Fernandes to Saka. Would you do Trippier and Morris to Branthwaite, I think it is, or Braithwaite, and Watkins from -8? Tricky one, but look, you just can't cover every option. I know why you want to do it, especially if you're looking to captain Watkins, then I think the -8 hit could pay off. But my issue with it is you're getting in Braithwaite for Trippier, I think it is. And look, Trippier himself can do extremely well against Wolves. And you just seen what he's done in the last couple of weeks. And Trippier has just been the best FPL option, you could argue, since Game Week 5. So as good as Watkins is, I'm just not so sure if I'd do it unless you're looking to captain Watkins. In that scenario, it could be a bit different, and that justifies the hit already. But I'm not so sure about selling Trippier for a -8 hit, downgrading your defense completely there, despite Morris to Watkins being a big upgrade, of course. Potter says, do you think Foden to Bowen or Morris to Nketiah? Foden to Bowen is my preference there for sure. I know Nketiah should start the majority of games, but it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal went for Trossard as the false 9. Martinelli is also capable of playing there, but most importantly, Kai Havertz can play down the middle too. So I think Nketiah will start, by the way, the vast majority of games where Jesus is out, but I'm not so sure if I'd do that move. I'd rather do Foden to Bowen. It's not a bad shout though, Nketiah. I do like that. I've seen a few people suggest him already. Welcome without malice, and thank you to FPL Diamond for the shout out as always. Much appreciated. Aid, I think I'm just overcomplicating it. Quick question: Ferguson and Martinelli, or João Pedro and Bowen? Very, very tricky one. My preference will be João Pedro and Bowen, but that's mainly because of Bowen rather than João Pedro being a great FPL option. A doggy or Burn? Assuming a doggy is fit, and I think he will start today, probably say a doggy, and that's where my regret comes in with my transfers. Areola, Alisson, Areola. Yeah, I think I'd stick with Areola. And by the way, I'm going to whiz through these so I can catch up. What to do with Odegaard? I'd hold for now. Long term, yeah, I could see him being a sell, but I think he'll do really well in Game Week 10, to be honest. Should I bench João Pedro or Darwin? I'd bench João Pedro. What do you think about Adingra or Palmer? Well, look, my overall preference is Cole Palmer, and he's on penalties, but what I would possibly consider is going for Adingra now, and then in Game Week 16 or 17, when Brighton's fixtures turn for the worse again, then you can bring in Palmer, and that's where the fixtures also correspond in Chelsea's favour. So, yeah, maybe Adingra for now for the next 6 game weeks, and then move to Palmer when the fixtures ease up there for Chelsea. LXICH says, do Maddison and Anderson to Saka and Gay, or Son and Taylor to Saka and Gabriel? I would do the second set of transfers, I think. Yeah, so I would sell Son and Taylor to Saka and Gabriel. I was considering something very similar as well before I took my -4 hit. Maddison to Saka. I do think it's an upgrade, especially with fixtures in mind. Saka's a great captaincy option in 2 of the next 3 game weeks. I still like Maddison a lot, by the way, don't get me wrong, but I think Saka is an upgrade, I'd say, over the next 5 to 10 game weeks. Solanke captain, everyone. FPL attack asset return versus Burnley. Fair enough. A doggy or Burn start 1, we've covered. Will Nketiah start for Arsenal? I think so, but as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, there is the possibility of Havertz playing down the middle, Trossard as a false 9. That would not surprise me at all. And I'll be honest, Nketiah had a decent start to this season, but ever since Game Week 4, I'd say, very underwhelming. The ball seems to bounce off him. He's not offering enough goal threat or just all-round play, really, to justify an inclusion in that Arsenal side. So Arsenal could struggle, actually, with the absence of Gabriel Jesus. Luis Miguel says, on a wild card, Salah, Saka and Son are locked. Would you consider no Bowen to go for Diaby and Mitoma to complete the midfield? What would the alternative be, though? Would it be Bowen and Neto/Gordon? If so, I'd rather go there. But if it's Bowen and Adingra or Palmer, then maybe I'd reconsider and go for the Diaby and Mitoma double up for now. Yeah, Lager, fair enough. Thoughts on the likes of Kudus and Fati? Yeah, they've been very impressive with limited minutes. Fati scoring a lot of goals, actually, in recent weeks, even in Europa League yesterday against Ajax. So, 2 great talents, very exciting players to watch. In terms of FPL, though, you look at both teams. Mitoma, I think, is just more nailed on for the Brighton team, and Jarrod Bowen is by far the best West Ham option. So I would go for Bowen and Mitoma instead, but they are differentials for a reason. You want to be ahead of the curve, and I think they're definitely 2 to keep an eye on, and I think it's only a matter of time before Kudus gets into the West Ham team, and you could say the same about Fati if he continues this goal-scoring form. Is Ward-Prowse to Mitoma a good move? I think so. And look, I do like Ward-Prowse overall. He's going to get returns. His set-piece delivery is second to none. But my issue with him now is that in the last 3 game weeks, he's been playing in a deeper role. So I think it is worth it to go to Mitoma. Too High for You, great name, says, hello Dylan, start a doggy or Romero? I just go for Romero. Very good for bonus points recently. You also know he's going to start. With a doggy, there is a doubt. So I just go for Romero, but it would not surprise me, by the way, if a doggy started, got an assist and a 12-pointer. That would definitely rub salt in the wounds for me personally. Radovan says Maddison plus James Ward-Prowse for Saka plus Adingra/Palmer, or Son plus James Ward-Prowse for Saka and Mitoma. My overall preference would be Saka and Mitoma. I think that's the best set of moves for you there. Yeah. I second that, Lager. Happy birthday to Snipe Master YouTube. Bubble Tack says, hi Dylan, would you play Lascelles over a doggy? I'd probably play a doggy, to be fair, because I think he either starts or doesn't play at all. You'd be very unlucky, in my opinion, if he came off the bench for a 1-pointer. Josh Longworth says, Trippier and Morris to Tsimikas and Watkins for free. Yeah, I think for free that's completely fair enough. As much as I like Trippier, I think Watkins is better this week, and for free, I don't really see too big of a risk there. Saqué Maddison por Saka, ya tengo a Son. Sí, tiene sentido. Yo también hice algo parecido, sacando a Son para Saka y manteniendo a Maddison. Para mí está bien. Y con los partidos que viene para Spurs, no sé, para mí personalmente yo anticipo algunos resultados flojos o quizás algunos rendimientos más bajos. Así que vamos a ver, pero para mí está bien lo que hiciste. Blazy says, which is the best option, Gordon or Douglas Luiz? I prefer Gordon, but I can understand why you would maybe, go towards Douglas Luiz there. That's completely understandable because of pens and better fixtures. Yeah, that's spot on. I just think Gordon from open play is more of a constant threat, and Gordon impresses me whenever I watch him. My only concern with him is the yellow cards, but thankfully the suspension's already done, so he needs another 5 in order to get suspended yet again. Thank you, Snipe Master. Exactly, that's all you can really ask for FPL-wise. Mac Drax says, Areola, Tsimikas, Burn, Trippier, Cash, Salah, Son, Maddison, Bowen, Haaland, Watkins, captain. Thoughts? Your team is in great shape. I don't really see too much wrong with it. Are you even missing any players, really? Just Saka? This week, I think he could be a big miss, but you can't cover everyone. And honestly, you're in really good shape there. Would you pick Bowen over Martinelli or Maddison? That's an interesting one. Yeah, I'd pick Bowen over Martinelli for sure. Over Maddison, that's a bit more debatable, I think. But I do prefer Bowen out of the 3. What if Tsimikas is not starting? It's possible, but like I said earlier, the only reason I got Tsimikas in is to fund the other 2 moves. And if he doesn't start, I just have to hope that he, doesn't come on for 1 pointer, and I've got Lascelles on the bench. So, yeah, I think selling a doggy could be the biggest mistake from my perspective this week, but it's done. I'll see what happens, and I can always rectify my mistake next week by bringing in a Spurs defender again. But I think what I'm most likely going to do is bring in Gabriel around Game Week 12 anyway. Maddison to Saka, yeah, as I mentioned in Spanish just a minute ago, that's completely fine, but I would still cover Spurs offensively one way or another. So if you don't have Son and you're selling Maddison, just reconsider that, of course. But who's the better option over the next few weeks? I'd say Saka, so it is an upgrade. Welcome, London W4. Watkins or Salah for captain? You can see the answer on screen. I'm currently going for Salah. I have considered Watkins. He is in my top 3. It's very close between him and Saka to maybe usurp Salah, but I'm currently going for the Egyptian. Why are people choosing Areola? Well, he's a cheap goalkeeper, most importantly of all. Great fixtures, and he's got decent saves and bonus points potential. You can't really ask for too much more there. Some people are saying, well, he played yesterday, so maybe Fabianski comes back, but Fabianski was ill, and you would expect Areola to maintain his starting berth at the weekend. Captain Salah, Watkins or Saka? You can see the answer on screen as well. I'll try to discuss the captaincy in more detail later on, but as I've said all week, my current preference is Salah first, Saka second and Watkins third, but that could easily change, I think, between Watkins and Saka for second position. Haaland would be in 4th. Foster or Joao Pedro? I'm guessing that's Foster. Joao Pedro. Udogi start or not? I think he does, and that's why I'm a bit, not nervous, but I think that could be my biggest mistake this week. Trent, thoughts? I don't think it's worth going for Trent if Tsimikas continues to start, to be honest. And also at similar price, you've got Trippier. And look, Newcastle for me have a better defence than Liverpool. Trippier also is getting more attacking returns at the moment. So if you're going for an expensive defender, just go for Trippier, in my opinion. Hi, Dylan, will Lascelles start? Yes, Botman should be back by Game Week 11 or 12. So in the meantime, Lascelles will start. I wish I knew this last week. I would have started him over Ward-Prowse, but it is what it is. Burn or Gay on the wild card? Burn for me still. Of course, if you have Trippier already, you could consider diversifying your defence. Crystal Palace face Burnley away next week, but I'd rather go for Burn. Why not Captain Son? I'm talking about the captaincy options I have. I think Son's a good shout, actually. He's in my top 5. He's probably 4th or 5th, but I don't think he's as good as Salah, Watkins or Saka on paper, at least. Things can definitely go the other way, and football's not played on paper, as we all know. Milner says, what's up, Dylan? How are you doing? All good. What about you? Play Tsimikas or Alvarez? I'd still play Alvarez and favour the attacker. Who to captain, Son or Watkins? Watkins for me. Ahmed says, Diaz and Bumo Haaland to Salah, Saka, Ferguson, -8. Look, I think Salah and Saka are fantastic moves, to say the least. Ferguson, though, I'm not too sure about that. And I don't see him starting 5 of the next 6, which would be good for you. I don't really know if that's going to happen, to be fair, especially with the Europa League and plenty of action over the next few weeks. So, yeah, as much as Diaz and Mbumo to Salah and Saka is great, also, what's your plan for Game Week 11? Are you happy to go without Haaland when he faces Bournemouth? You just have to ask yourself these questions. And look, overall, I think you are improving your team. But in Game Week 11, I think going without Haaland could be maybe not catastrophic, but it could be very, very detrimental, in my opinion. Let's see how it all pans out, but I just don't like that Ferguson transfer. I think he's a quality player, but I don't think he's going to get the minutes necessary. Can you say Julian Alvarez in Spanish? Yeah, Julian Alvarez is really how you say it. I mean, I speak Argentinian Spanish, which is where Alvarez comes from, but yeah, maybe a Spaniard will correct me. Gabriel Simicas, I think Gabriel. No Haaland team, so do I play Darwin or Alvarez? I play Darwin. I think he starts, and he's got a better fixture. And between Haaland and Saka captain, I'd go for Saka. Odegaard or Ferguson? I'd bench Ferguson. I'd start Odegaard. I have a good feeling about him this week against Sheffield United. He's had a run of poor performances against Sevilla and Chelsea. I think he'll come back with a good performance and some goals and assists. Best differential captain. Not sure if I can call Watkins a differential captain, but I think a differential captain. I think Odegaard. I keep saying him, but I genuinely think he could do really well this week. Zodiac says, "Hey Dylan, welcome." Milner versus team. Probably doing Maddison to Bowen, and would you start Borro or Alvarez over someone? So yeah, you've got a very strong bench, almost too strong, you could argue. What would I change? Yeah, both your goalkeepers aren't looking great this week, but it is what it is. I think you've gone for the right keeper. Your strikers are absolutely fine. Your midfield is also good. Maddison to Bowen is also a fine transfer. You're keeping Son too. I would possibly consider either Borro or Alvarez in for Gordon. I would consider that, but I don't think it's necessary. It's a really close call, I think, between all three of them. That air says on the wild card, Burn or Gay. Like I said, I'd go for Burn. Son and Palmer or Bowen and Maddison. Bowen and Maddison for sure. No one talking about Cash Captain. Yeah, that's another good shout. I do like that, actually. He'd be maybe not my top 5, but he's right up there. He's the best defender to captain this week for me. Then it's probably Trippier. Then you're looking at Trent, potentially. Porro versus Anderson. Porro, definitely. Odegaard or Ferguson, I covered that. I said Odegaard. Would you take out Udogie and replace with Van der Ven or who else? I don't think so, to be honest. And with your, squad, you've got a stacked defense, let's be honest. I don't think you need to make a defender transfer. You might say to me, well, you also shouldn't have made a defender transfer, and I completely agree, but I only did it to fund other moves. Otherwise, I would have made no change to my defense, and I think you should do the same and just roll. I don't think you need to do a doggy to Van der Ven. Honestly, I haven't checked. I think it's 80 plus Zodiac. It was a good week for me. Finally, like the first time I did well in FPL and UCL Fantasy in the same week so far this season. So something like that. I'll cover it in future UCL Fantasy videos. Start Gordon or Matoma. I'd go for Matoma. Foden and Maddison to Salah and Sarr for a -4. Not a big fan of that. I know why you're doing it, but if I were you, to be honest, I'd maybe consider Foden to Bowen for free. I know you really want to get Salah in, and that's understandable, but I'd only do those moves for a hit if you've got a stacked squad, really. So you've got 5 or 4 other good midfielders, and you've got 2 or 3 really good forwards, and your starting 11 is looking very strong. I definitely wouldn't start Sarr, in the upcoming period. So I would definitely reconsider that. That's very important. John says, hi Dylan and members, watching from a cafe in New Hampshire, USA. Dylan and my son Teddy says hi and that you're cool. Thank you, John. Not sure I agree there, but thank you very much to your son as well. And yeah, it's always crazy when people say that you're watching from USA, from Nepal, every country you can really imagine, Brazil, anything really. So I definitely appreciate it. Ajana says, hey Dylan, welcome. Taylor or Lascelles? Definitely Lascelles for me. Should we start considering Chelsea assets? Not really. If you look at the upcoming fixtures, they're poor. They had a good first half against Arsenal, and look, they probably should have won the game in the end, but I still think they're a bit naive. They've got some good FPL assets like Cole Palmer at his price, but I really wouldn't prioritise them. If anything, when the fixtures get slightly better, then you can go for 1 or 2 assets, but for now, I don't think it's worth it. And if I had to pick one player, it would be Cole Palmer. Salah and Watkins in for Haaland and Mbumo. Yes, and if you could bring Haaland back in next week, that would be ideal. I'm considering bringing in Saka and Matoma for Luis Diaz and Maddison, 2 free transfers. That's completely fine. If you've got Son already there, Liobamir, then yeah, I would do it. Best midfield, 6.3 million and below. I'm not going to say Ward-Prowse because he's playing a deeper role, so I'm going to stick with Gordon or Neto. They're my favourites. Of course, Palmer and Adingra are also solid options, but my favourite is probably Gordon. Sell Trippier or Diaby to Matoma for a -4. Really? I mean, I'd rather keep Trippier long term than Diaby, but this week, selling Diaby for a hit, I'm not too sure about that, to be honest. Thank you, Ajana. Take a hit to get Saka in for Madison. If you're going to captain Saka, then yeah, I would do it. But otherwise, I'm not so sure. I'd probably say yes still, but try to have one Spurs coverage at least. Should I start Burn or Pedro Neto? I'd start Burn. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. My current prediction is 1-0 Newcastle, so I'd probably go for Burn there. Typically, I do favour the attackers. Sahil says, hi Dylan, do I do Son to Saka or a doggy to Cash or Almiron to Douglas Luiz / Matoma? Thank you very much for your question. I'd probably do a doggy to Cash. As much as I think a doggy plays today and probably gets a clean sheet, I think Cash over the next 4 to 5 game weeks is a fantastic option. Matt's Collectibles puts his team. I'm reading it. Just going to have a little water break. No transfers made to free. Interesting. So, yeah, your starting 11 is fantastic. No, Haaland is the only issue, really. I don't think it's a big problem this week, but it will be in Game Week 11. But you've got most of the key options, really. Yeah, your team is in great shape. Burning a doggy on the bench. If I'm going to maybe nitpick and maybe consider something else, maybe one of Burn or a doggy for Alvarez, but typically you'd favour the attacker, and Alvarez's form is so good, you probably don't want to bench him. So, yeah, your starting 11's absolutely fine. 2 free transfers, Foden and Diaz to Matoma and Gordon. Yeah, I like those moves. I definitely do. Hi, mate. Would you do a doggy and Burn to Gabriel and Tsimikas? Not so sure. Maybe a doggy out to one of Gabriel Tsimikas. I think either is fine. But I don't think I'd make both moves. I still like Burn. I really need help, Gabriel Tsimikas. I prefer Gabriel, but just think of it from this perspective. If you've got Newcastle players, let's say Gordon in the midfield, you've got Trippier, you've also got Saka. In Game Week 11, Arsenal face Newcastle, you might have a lot of players invested in that game. So what you could consider is getting Tsimikas now, and in Game Week 12, bringing Gabriel when he faces Burnley at home. So you could play it that way. But if you're asking me who do you prefer, overall, it would be Gabriel. Gay to Pau Torres for a -4. Not sure I'd do that because Gay plays Burnley away next week, has good long-term fixtures, and I don't think Pau Torres generally has the attacking threat necessary to justify that. If it was Cash, I'd say maybe, but not Pau Torres. I don't have Haaland. It's not that scary, guys. Well, yeah, look, you can do well without him. I've covered this in many weeks, really. And I also considered it on my wildcard in Game Week 8. But I think in Game Week 11, that's where the tide will start to shift, in my opinion. Hi, Dylan. What are the chances of a doggy starting? I can't really give you an exact percentage, but I'm fairly, I want to say optimistic because I want him not to start, but I think he will. I would be very surprised if he didn't. Let me put it that way. Hey, Dylan. Good evening from India. Thank you very much, Punjabi. Thank you, Hekaran, and thank you, Genius Gamer. On a wild card, stuck between Bowen and Martinelli, I'd go for Bowen. I know why you're looking to go for Martinelli. He scored against Sevilla. He's always a goal threat, but I think Jared Bowen is more of a talismanic figure for West Ham, and West Ham also have some great fixtures. So, yeah, if possible, I'd go for Bowen and also Saka to cover Arsenal offensively. Ajana says, I hope I get into 100k rank, currently 200k. Definitely possible. I don't think the difference in ranks are that much, really. So it's possible. And of course, it's all about how you finish. So hopefully you maintain this and keep on pushing up until the end of the season. What do you think about Martinelli? I think it's a decent differential, but would I go for Martinelli over Bowen? No, not even over Diaby at the moment, and possibly Matoma. But look, Martinelli's a differential for a reason. He could be a fantastic way of climbing the ranks, but my personal preference is to go for Saka in the Arsenal attack. Yeah, with Palace not scoring not many, I could see Borrell getting a clean sheet, but then there is the old never start a defender over an attacker. Yeah. If I had to make a prediction for that game, it'd probably be kind of a cagey 1-0, maybe 2-0 Spurs as well. So yeah, I'm kind of looking at that game, and I think Borrell could do really well. Thank you, Jay Blessed. If I was you, would you captain Cashel Watkins? Okay, so if it was you, looks like a go big or go RIP this week. Well, not necessarily, because if you've got Salah or Saka, you can also captain them. It's just about who you back. If you're really, advocating for Aston Villa this week and you think they're going to win big, then it makes sense to go for Cashel Watkins. I'd go for Watkins still, because Aston Villa can still concede. They could be 4-0 up and then concede towards the end. And yeah, I'd just rather go for Watkins with his form. Foden to Matoma or Maddison to Saka or both for a -4. If it was me, I would probably do Maddison to Saka, especially if you have Son already, and I think that's completely fine. And then around game week 12-ish, that's when you can do Foden to Matoma, because in game week 11, I think Foden could be absolutely fantastic against Bournemouth. Hey Dylan, this is going to be my first season playing FPL. I know I'm a bit late. Yeah, don't worry, mate. I mean, I'm still quite late to the party. In terms of FPL, I started around 2019, 2018. So yeah, I'm kind of new to the scene as well. All the best, Diego. If you have any questions, then be sure to let me know. Ahmed says, who's the best third striker with Alvarez and Watkins for the coming weeks? Well, apart from the obvious answer in Haaland, I'd probably say Darwin Nunez. Ziad says, I have 2 free transfers and 0.8 million in the bank. Son and Ward-Prowse out, since Saka and Bowen in. Yep. I did something similar, really, the exact same transfers, or Maddison to Saka and roll the transfer. I would do Son and Ward-Prowse to Son and Bowen. I'm a bit envious. Sorry, to Saka and Bowen. I'm a bit envious because I had to take a -4 hit to afford those moves. So yeah, I'd go for that there, Ziad. It's Dalmas says 3-4-3 with João Pedro, Matoma, Adingra. I wouldn't triple up on Brian. I honestly wouldn't. I think that's way too much. Even 1, that's fair enough. 2 as well, but 3. I think that's just too much, mate. What do you think about Anderson to McTominay? Nah, I wouldn't go anywhere near McTominay. Good goal-scoring form, but wouldn't surprise me if he was benched very shortly. He's conceding a lot of penalties as well. He's a bit of a liability in the defensive midfield role. I would not go for McTominay. And look, he scored against City a few years ago, but if you want to go for a United player, it's probably Bruno Fernandes or Højlund, and even then, I'd rather look elsewhere. Babihav says Mads plus Alvarez to Saka and Maguire, or Matoma and Watkins on free transfers. Note Maguire will be my 3rd best defender. I'd rather go to Matoma and Watkins then. As much as I like Saka, still not convinced about Man United defensively. Clutch saying, as usual, big up Dylan, good luck this week. Likewise, Blood Type Arsenal, thank you very much. Captain Salah or Watkins, you can see the answer on screen, to be honest. It's completely up to you. My current preference is Salah, then it's Saka. Watkins is probably 3rd, and then to complete the top 5, you're looking at the likes of Haaland, Son, and Matty Cash. Hey Dylan, in your opinion, who is the best 3rd striker we have covered? I'd say Darwin Nunez. I feel a cheeky Watkins captaincy brought him in for a -4. Yeah, I think that's understandable. A lot of us would predict Aston Villa to win big. They average 3 goals per game at Villa Park. I think that's completely fair. Who to start between Darwin and Matoma, or Pedro Porro and Jay Alvarez? I would say Darwin, and I'd personally go for Pedro Porro, but I do understand why you may want to go for Alvarez instead. No worries, Ori. I appreciate you tuning in. Saka start? Yeah. If he doesn't start and Son goes crazy this week, then you won't be seeing me on Sunday's reaction stream. How about Nketiah on the wild card? It's just a really short-term punt. Look, it's not a bad shout, facing Sheffield United and Burnley in the next 3, but I just don't trust Nketiah, to be honest. Yeah, he can do well in those games, but it also wouldn't surprise me if he blanked in the next 3 games, despite playing, or starting all 3 of them. So, not a big fan of Nketiah FPL-wise. If you want to go for Arsenal attackers, I think Saka would be first. Then you're looking at Martinelli long-term. And in fixtures like Burnley and Sheffield United, I think Odegaard could be the very best. So, I'd go for one of those 3, but not Nketiah for me. How do you have Maddison, Burn, and Haaland away kit? It's just a Chrome extension. Type in FPL away kits and you'll see it. Very simple. Adingra or Palmer on wildcard. Look, my overall preference is Palmer, but with fixtures in mind, what I do is go for Adingra and then make the switch to Palmer in game week 16 or 17. Don't forget to make predictions in the Discord server. Yeah, I'll try to do that when the stream is over, and also provide some predictions here after the deadline. So, yeah, we have under 2 hours left for the deadline. A long way to go. We've answered a lot of questions already. Smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. What I'm going to do now is go through some different screens first and show you some different data and information. And then that could help you with your captaincy decisions or maybe anything else like transfers. And then afterwards, I'll be going back to your questions and comments and also discussing my team in more detail. But everything was really covered in the team selection video, to be quite frank. I've made the exact same transfers I discussed there for a -4 hit. I brought in Tsimikas, Saka, and Jared Bowen for a Doggy, Son, and Ward-Prowse. My regret is a doggy. I think he's going to start today and get a clean sheet. But let's go for some different screens very quickly. So in terms of the FDR, we have a new leader in town, and it is Arsenal, with only Newcastle away being a tough fixture on paper for me in the next 6 game weeks. Crystal Palace, Brighton, Burnley and Liverpool complete the top 5, and you've also got West Ham and Aston Villa still right behind them. In terms of those near the bottom, Chelsea, Luton Town, Man City, Everton and Brentford. You've also got Man United and Spurs mid-table and on the brink of being one of the lowest in terms of the FDR, the fixture difficulty rating. When we look at I can't even speak. When we look at predicted points, Haaland is top, but not by much. But I'm not so sure if I agree with that one. 7.5 expected points. Salah is second. Saka, Watkins and Martinelli complete the top 5. Son, Tsimikas, Mitoma, Diaby and Odegaard are in the top 10. That's one of my differential shouts this week. Martin Odegaard against Sheffield United. I think he's going to do very well. Would I recommend him as a long-term purchase? Not necessarily. That's a different story entirely. In terms of price rises and falls, Watkins is going to go up in price, surely. And you've got Douglas Luiz, Gabriel, Areola, Van der Ven, Cash, Son, White also potentially going up very soon. And in terms of those going down, Mbumo, Foden, Højlund, Botman, Andreas, Akanji, Pickford, ball that could go down to 3.8 million. So yeah, we've got some very big price rises and falls coming up. Ake as well is on the verge of going down in price, and that is all courtesy of FPLstatistics.co.uk. And if we now look at another stats comparison, it is between Salah and Ollie Watkins. For those of you without maybe Erling Haaland and or Saka, these are 2 fantastic captaincy options this week, arguably the top 2, and they've got some identical stats, both of them with 9 big chances. Salah's creativity is slightly better with 9 big chances created compared to Watkins' 3, but both of them with a good number of key passes. Expected assists is also in Salah's favour. Also double the XG for Salah, but a lot of it has been influenced by penalties, so bear that in mind. Shots in the box is in Watkins' favour, although not by much as well. Shots are identical, shots on target as well, and both of them with over 10 goal contributions so far this season. If I had to pick, it probably would be Salah for the captaincy, but Watkins would be second or third on the list. My current vice-captain, though, is Saka. So that is pretty much it in terms of other screens that we're going to cover here today. Let me know what you think of everything you've just seen right now, and who are you captaining this week. And if you want to see any polls, let me know in the live chat and I will make a poll there for you to help you with your decisions. But let's now go back to my team. Might look very solid on paper, but let's see how it does. I think selling 2 Spurs players today could be a disaster waiting to happen, to be quite frank, but I'm kind of playing the long-term game and hopefully I can still get a green arrow in the process. So yeah, let's go back to your questions. A doggy to a Brighton defender. The only Brighton defender I'd go to is a Stupinian when he's available. I wouldn't go for any other. They concede far too many goals, and the reason why I like a Stupinian is for the attacking potential. Who's buying why at that price? To be honest, if you don't have Haaland and you have a lot of money left over, you can do so. I know a friend actually who's got Ben White and he's done very well for him. So yeah, I wouldn't have gone for him personally. I think Gabriel and Saliba offer better value for money, but White is getting the points. What to do with a doggy? I keep. Don't sell Odegaard. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't sell him. Maybe after Burnley at home in Game Week 12. I think Forest is better than Luton. Yeah, but Liverpool are better than Aston Villa, so you can play it that way. Salah's also better than Watkins. I see what you're saying. I understand. I agree. But you can also throw it the other way around as well. Yusuf says, hi, Dylan. My midfield is Sterling, Palmer, Son, Maddison, Son. You said Son twice. I'm not sure your 5th midfielder is, but nah. Okay, fair enough. It's the other way around. Yeah, I would do it because double Chelsea midfield, yeah, they could do well against Brentford, but long term, I think bowing in for a hit is worth it. I'd do it. The Samuel Beer says Johnston, Trippier. So I'm just going to read the rest of the lineup in silence. And then good lineup, Tsimikas over P or A for the next few weeks. Over P or A? I'm guessing Borro or Anderson. Well, I'd probably still sell Anderson and keep Borro because Spurs have been decent defensively in recent weeks. I still expect them to get some clean sheets like tonight. So yeah, I'd rather sell Anderson and go to Tsimikas that way. But yeah, you don't need to make the transfer now. If Tsimikas is benched, then you might just reconsider and stick with your defense because overall, your team's in good shape and you don't have many priority transfers. Yeah, as always with non-Haaland owners. The only concern is Game Week 11, but if you can get through that, you should be fine until Game Week 16. Kai says bench Sufal or play Neto. Yeah, I think I'd go for Sufal this week. Hi Dylan Best, 4.4 million midfielder. There really isn't one, to be quite honest. The best budget midfielders, who are quite cheap, would be Adingra and Palmer. But yeah, below that, you're just having bench fodder, pure bench fodder. Adingra or Matoma, it would be Matoma. Start a doggy or Gvardiol, a doggy. And then if he doesn't start, shouldn't come on from the bench, and then Gvardiol comes on anyway. Weiseng says, realistically, just can't make myself captain Cash over Watkins. I agree. I've watched recent games. Whenever Villa score, it's all linked, and Watkins, the only downside is that he's not taking penalties. I think that's the best way to sum it up. I can't really add much more to that, and I would also go for Watkins over Cash, as we discussed earlier. Aiden says, bench 1, Gabriel, Tsimikas, Cash, Trippier. Oddly enough, it would be Tsimikas, I think, from those 4. Israfe, or hopefully I haven't butchered that, apologies if I have. Hazik says, need to downgrade James or Prowse. Should I get Palmer, Adingra or Gordon? I'd personally go for Gordon, but the fixtures aren't great over the next 4 or 5. Long term, though, they're still good, and Gordon is a fine option. Who will have a clean sheet? I'd say Newcastle, and in general, Newcastle have a better defence. So even if it goes the other way around this week, I would rather have Newcastle defenders in the long term. Adingra or Matoma for Bowen, Van der Ven for Matoma / Taylor, or Adingra, Borro, free up money to get Haaland back on wildcard, was chasing price rises but no double rises. I wouldn't get any Brian midfielder for Bowen. I genuinely wouldn't do that. I think Bowen is better than both of them, in my opinion. If you were to get one, it would be Matoma. As for Van der Ven or Taylor, yeah, Van der Ven for Taylor is completely fine as well. Sell Haaland for Watkins. I don't mind that this week, but from Game Week 11 onwards, I think Haaland will do much better than Watkins, in my opinion. What are your transfer plans for the future? Nah. If I were to go without Haaland, it would have been in the Game Week 8 wildcard. And also, I think Game Week 11, I'm very happy to have Haaland for that. So, nah, I don't think so. Future transfer plans, potentially Gabriel in for Joachim Andersen around Game Week 12, or I get a Spurs defender back in. Could be Romero, Pedro Porro, or Van der Ven. Other moves I would consider is trimming down the Aston Villa players from Game Week 13 onwards. So Matty Cash could go to one of those defenders I said, or I could sell Diaby to Matoma. There's a few things I could do, of course. Even Gordon could come in. But yeah, those would be some of my transfer plans in the future. I don't think I'll go without Haaland unless he gets injured. Yeah, Jazabi, I made all 3 transfers. It's what I discussed in my team selection video. So yeah, I took a -4 hit. James Ward-Prowse or Foster? James Ward-Prowse. Opinion on Saka captain? I think he's easily top 3. He's currently my vice captain, so I think he just about edges it over Watkins, but that could go either way. But I think he's obviously a very solid option. I would maybe argue his ceiling isn't as high as Salah or Watkins, but Saka is more consistent than Ollie Watkins for sure, generally speaking. But yeah, I do like him. Sheffield United as well have conceded the most goals. There's a lot of things in his favour. One thing that would slightly put me off is no Gabriel Jesus, who makes the Arsenal attack link up very well. Start a doggy or Gordon? I'd go for a doggy. A doggy or Gay? I'd go for a doggy there. Or a doggy up for Tsimikas for a -4. Just to start a doggy for me. Cash, Romero, Tsimikas, Gabriel, Burns start 3. I'd go for Cash, Gabriel, and probably Romero. Do you agree that Palace are better defensively than West Ham? Yeah, not by much. And of course, we've only had 9 game weeks so far this season, but I'd say so. Just about. Is it worth to take Gabriel this week for a -4 hit? It depends who you sell, but my guess is that you're selling the doggy. Tsimikas or Gabriel? I'd say Gabriel, but once again, reconsider if you've got Newcastle players as well. In Game Week 11, they face Arsenal, and that could be a bit, well, just not ideal, really, because Tsimikas will play Luton Town as well. But I would rather have Gabriel. Yeah. I think Arsenal have a better defence. Salah or Watkins for triple captain? Still Salah for me. Tsimikas or Gabriel? Gabriel once again. Saka and Tsimikas in for Maddison and a doggy. Good? Yes. Salah, yeah. Will a doggy play? Yeah, I think so. And is Tsimikas good for long term? He's good for the next few months, so long as Robertson's out. I think Robertson could be back by January or December. So Tsimikas should be a decent option in that time frame. No, I wouldn't captain Gabriel. The only defender I'd captain this week, really, apart from Trippier, is Matty Cash. Is Haaland and Maddison better than Salah and Alvarez? It's really close, to be fair. I think, based on fixtures, I'd say Salah and Alvarez is better. Best forwards under 8 million. Well, Alvarez definitely stands out. Apart from him, I'd say Darwin Núñez. So it'd be, yeah, Alvarez first, Darwin second, and in third, I'd put Callum Wilson so long as Isak is out. Why are people saying Douglas Luiz is bad? No, not really. If you actually check most of the comments in this live chat and in my videos, there's a lot of love for Douglas Luiz now. There might be the odd person here and there, but I haven't seen it, to be honest. Yeah, he's doing really well so far on penalties. Got an eye for goal from distance, so there's a lot to like. Start Pedro Porro or Alvarez. I'd personally go for Pedro Porro. That's just my opinion. You think Martinelli instead of Saka to afford Watkins is fine? It's fine, but it's not ideal, if I'm being quite honest with you. Saka or Son? Saka. Cash, Trippier, Udogie, Burn, Tsimikas start free. I think I've covered this, mate. I think I have, so I'm going to skip that. Burn or Udogie? I mean, look, Burn is just a safer pick, but I think I'd just go for Udogie, to be honest. It's a tricky one because in my team selection video, I think the only change I made is instead of selling Anderson, I sold Udogie, and I had Burn in my starting 11 and Udogie on my bench, but I'm more optimistic now of Udogie starting. Adingra and Bowen or Palmer and Mitoma? Adingra and Bowen. Got 3 Spurs players in the 11 now, and Johnston in goal. Hoping for a 1-0 Spurs. Son, goal, Maddison assist. Mate, this is definitely the one time I really want, you know, Spurs to blank. Hopefully Palace can do something here. Cheeky 1-0 win for Palace, but not really too optimistic. I think one thing that could go against Spurs is that they played on Monday and now they're playing again, literally just 4 days later. That's really poor scheduling by the Premier League, so that could actually go against them and play into Palace's hands. Douglas Luiz or Neto? I still prefer Neto, but Neto has the fixture. Sorry, Douglas Luiz has the fixtures and the penalties, of course. But my preference is Neto. Thank you for the super chat, Aranya. I appreciate it. The squad: Areola, Cash, Trippier, Udogie, Saka, Son, Maddison, Salah, Diaby, Watkins, Alvarez, Leno, Anderson, Taylor, Mabama. 0 million in the bank, 2 free transfers, moves, and starting 11. Starting 11. No, it's absolutely fine as it is. I wouldn't make any changes. In terms of changes you could make in the, you know, in your transfers, I think Son to Saka is still a possibility for you, but yeah, no Haaland, of course, that's fair enough. Areola's fine. Your defense is also good. Of course, there could be some doubts about Udogie. So yeah, because you might be a bit apprehensive about Udogie starting, and look, I'm confident, but if you are a bit worried about that, I would potentially sell Udogie to Gabriel or Tsimikas. And that would also potentially give you a bit more money, especially if you go for Tsimikas. And that could be useful with other moves. But to be honest, if I'm looking at your team, I think Udogie to Gabriel and Son to Saka. Actually, you got Saka already, my bad. Bowen is one player I would recommend for your midfield, but you don't really need to get rid of the Spurs player. So yeah, sounds very simple, but I'd make one transfer, and that is Udogie to Gabriel Tsimikas. The other move you could also consider is Alvarez to maybe Darwin Núñez with extra funds, but I think that'd be forcing it, and I don't think you can do it without taking a -4 hit or going from Udogie to Lascelles. So I think Udogie to Gabriel Tsimikas is just fine for you there, Rania. So thank you for the super chat there. I appreciate it. And Jesus, the live chat is very busy. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. RM is to get this stream to over 200 likes. Your thoughts on about Xhaka and Partey? Well, I think Arsenal have struggled for fluidity this season. The results have been generally good, but the performances haven't been as good as they can be. I think Partey is very important to Odegaard, and that's also another key reason why Odegaard is struggling. Partey just finds him in those tight areas with those passes between the lines, and I think Partey just makes Arsenal play much better in general. I think he's a big miss for them. So yeah, I think Partey's a huge miss. Xhaka, of course, was very solid last season, but Arsenal can still upgrade. They can buy 1 or 2 quality midfielders in the transfer market, and they can be improvements on Jack and Partey. Partey's always going to be a big issue in terms of availability, unfortunately. Yeah, but European teams playing only a couple of days later. That is true. I'm just saying because with Spurs not being in Europe, it's a bit weird for them to play on the Monday and the Friday. Jazabi says Ariola, Simicast, Doggy, Cash, Diaby, Madison, Saka, Son, Salah, Alvarez, Watkins, starting 11. Yeah, Burn is someone who could come in, maybe over Simicast, or even a Doggy if you're not really feeling it. But yeah, that's the only change I'd make. So basically a defender move, one of Simicast or a Doggy out for Burn. If you're unsure about a Doggy and you are a bit fearful that he's going to come off the bench, then yeah, I'd put Burn in for a Doggy. If it was me personally, what I would do, it'd be Burn in for Simicast. Bowen or Matoma, it would be Bowen. Diaby or Bowen, still Bowen for me. Hi Dylan, who to bench? Gabriel, Matoma or Neto? Pedro Neto. Can the Arsenal midfield transfer wait till Game Week 12? Yeah, it can wait, for sure. Borrow to Simicast or Burn the transfer or Son to Saka? Yeah, you're in a good position there, mate. Son to Saka maybe, especially if you're looking to captain him, but otherwise you're in good shape. You don't need to make any transfer, in my opinion. Do I need to captain Watkins because I brought him in on a -4? No, you don't need to, but he is a great captaincy option regardless. So just captain the player you think will get the most points. Sounds very simple, but sometimes people just follow the crowd and go for the most popular captaincy option. Most weeks this season I have done that, but that's because I genuinely believe that the player I'm captaining will score the most points, and it hasn't really worked out, to be honest. So look, it's a tricky one, but I think Watkins is top 3 captaincy options and is worth it anyway. Bench 1, Trippier, Cash, Gabriel, Borro. Yeah, from those 4 it would be Pedro Borro. Diego Urena says Salah, Gordon, Madison, Diaby, Bowen midfield, got 0.5 million in the bank. Yeah, there's not really too many, not much room for improvement, let's put it that way. Saka's the only big miss, but I wouldn't sell Salah, that's for sure. And you would need to make 2 moves in order to afford Saka. So I think your midfield is fine as it is, to be honest. Is it worth to take Gabriel this week for a -4 hit? I think you asked this earlier, and as I said, I'm not sure what your transfer out is, and that ultimately will influence whether it's a yes or no. Nketiah or Pedro Porro? No, I keep saying Pedro Porro. João Pedro as the 3rd striker. I think in the short term it would be Nketiah, but not a big fan of either. Any news for Spurs game? No news at the moment. I mean, it is very early. We're almost at 5 o'clock. We've got an hour and a half left until the deadline, and the game's at 8 p.m. So no news whatsoever. If you see anything on Twitter, be sure to let me know and put a link. When would you get rid of Son for Saka? Well, I would do it this week. That's what I've done, but it's not absolutely necessary. I'd say Game Week 10 or 12. Neto to Doku for a -4. I wouldn't get Doku in, to be honest. If you want a cheap midfielder, a Dingra or Palmer is fine. I wouldn't buy Doku. Diaby or Bowen? I'd go for Jarrod Bowen. Who to bench from these 4? I think just a Doggy in case he doesn't start, but it's between him and Burn. Matoma and Bowen have to start for me. But Gordon or Simicast, that's a really tricky one. I think I'd start Gordon just about. Gay or Maguire on the wild card? I think I'd still go for Gay. Free hit, best defenders and goalkeeper. On the free hit, okay, that's quite interesting. I think the priority would be Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool and Spurs. I think those are the 4 teams you really want to target. So, yeah, Trippier in the defence, Matty Cash as well for the attacking potential in the fixture. I'd also go for Pedro Porro, potentially Gabriel as a back 4. And as the goalkeeper, I mean, Ariola's just fine on the free hit, but maybe I'd go for even a Raya if you're going for a double up in Arsenal midfield. In Arsenal defence. Salah, Gordon, Madison, Diaby, Bowen midfield. Yeah, we've covered. Is it worth to do a Doggy to Simicast for a -4? I've only done that move to fund Bowen and Saka. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. Or do I just play Burn instead? I think I just play Burn instead. And to be honest, I think a Doggy will start. That's my personal take on it. Dylan, James or Prowse to Matoma or Gordon? Well, based on fixtures, I think Matoma has the edge there, but I do like Gordon a lot. He also offers better value for money. But if I'm buying one now, it's probably Matoma. Bench Bruno, Gordon, or João Pedro. I'd be inclined to say Bruno Fernandes. He did score in this fixture last season, though. I think I'm going to bench him. Havertz says, which one to bench, Burn, Van der Ven, or Neto? I think I'd bench Neto. Don't you think Bowen will have his minutes shortened with lots of options in the bench? I'm not too concerned about that, to be honest. I still think Bowen will play enough minutes, really, to be a good FPL option. Gabriel or Van der Ven? Gabriel. Start Mbeumo or Soufal? I'd personally go for Mbeumo, I think, out of the two. Vishal puts his team, or in this same team, instead of Mitoma and Mbama, go for Gordon and Joao Pedro. You've got Allen and Watkins up front. You've got a good midfield. Yeah, I don't think you need to go for Gordon and Joao Pedro. You're just going to have 8 attackers. I see why you're trying to do it, but you've also got good... Well, yeah, you've got decent defensive depth as well. I think Mitoma and Mbama is the best there, Vishal. Maddison to Saka for a -4. Already have Son. Yeah, look, I think Maddison's a great option. He scored or assisted in every away game so far this season. So it's always tricky to sell him or Son for a -4 hit this week, but I think it's worth it to Saka. Who to bench? Very tricky benching questions this week. Probably Alvarez for me. It's between him and Gordon. I think I'd bench Gordon from those two. Adingra versus Gordon. Still Gordon. Bench Bruno, Gordon, or Joao Pedro. Yeah, Bruno, as I said. Neto, Gordon, or Hwang. My favourite is Gordon. Your opinion, Areola, Turner, Cassius, Prince Izzy. No free transfer. Should I do Son to Saka for a -4 or Haaland to Watkins for a -4? I don't think you need to do either necessarily. If I had to lean towards one, also bearing in mind Game Week 11, it would be Son to Saka. No chance for Ramsdale to come back. Very slim chance. I think Raya is the #1, but I think it's quite clear. Udogie to Tsimikas or bench Udogie and play Alvarez? I think bench Udogie and play Alvarez, to be fair. I do like Tsimikas long term, though. Keep Bowen or buy Saka? I wouldn't sell Bowen necessarily. Do I think Saka's better? Yes, but do you need to make that transfer? Maybe not. So it's a tricky one, really. But if that's your only way to buy Saka, then yeah, I'll do it. Hi, Dylan. Maddison or Alvarez? Maddison this week. Azaro12 says 2 free transfers, Anderson to Tsimikas and Maddison to Mitoma. Frees up cash for Saka in Game Week 13. Yeah, I did something similar. Fair enough. And if you've also got Son, I think that's a really good set of transfers. Would you prefer Bowen and Adingra or Bowen and Pedro? My preference is probably Bowen and Adingra, but I will admit that I would rather have a stronger midfield option than Adingra, personally. A more expensive choice, but yeah, probably Bowen and Adingra. Welcome, John Darren. Diaby or Mitoma? I prefer Diaby for the short term. Hello, Dylan. Saka or Son? Saka. Hill says Anderson to Tsimikas, or Udogie to Tsimikas, or no transfer. I've done something similar. I sold Udogie, but looking at it now, I think he'll start today. So if I'm looking back, if I could redo my transfer, it would be Anderson out to Tsimikas. Son, Martinelli versus Saka, Bowen. Saka, Bowen. Welcome, AM. Thank you very much. What do you think of my team? I don't know what your team is, so put in the next message. I'll see. Wildcard, Soufal plus Gordon for Kabore plus Bowen, or Anderson plus Dingra for Kabore plus Bowen, or not having Bowen. Tricky one. I think from those options you mentioned, my favourite would be Soufal and Gordon. Son or Maddison to Saka? I've sold Son personally, but that's not because I think Maddison's better than Son necessarily. I think he offers better value for money, but I think Son will score more points, if I'm being honest. Yeah, so if you don't really need the extra funds and you're good for team value, I would sell Maddison. Just bear in mind that his record away from home is fantastic. What are your thoughts on doing Mbeumo to Bowen and Share to Tsimikas? Completely fine. I'd still cover Newcastle defensively, but yeah, Bowen and Tsimikas are good transfers, and there's nothing more to add to it, I think. Burn or Udogie out to Tsimikas or Gabriel? Udogie, and I'd sell him to Gabriel personally. Tsimikas is absolutely fine, though. And you also have to think about Game Week 11. Would you have too many Arsenal-Newcastle players? If so, maybe get Tsimikas in, and then bring Gabriel in for Burn in Game Week 12. Bench one between Darwin, Diaby, Bowen, and Alvarez. Probably Alvarez, mate. Udogie or Gabriel on the wild card? Gabriel. Is Saka a must-have this game week? I wouldn't say it's an absolute must-have, because if you have Trippier, Haaland, Watkins, Salah, then yeah, you're going to do well anyway. But I think he's one of the best options this week. Best under 5.5 million midfielder. Let's have a quick look, by the way, at how we're doing. So we've got over 170 viewers. Our aim is to get this stream to over 150 likes. We can definitely do that. So if you haven't already, smash the like button. I'm just going to quickly check. But yeah, Dingra's 5 million and obviously Palmer as well. I'd say a Dingra or Palmer, and what you could do is go for Dingra now and then go to Palmer around Game Week 16. I think that's what I'd do. Gabriel Simicas, Gabriel, Bowen and a Dingra, or Matoma and Gordon. Matoma and Gordon. Best forward this week, apart from Haaland, Alvarez, Watkins, Darwin Nunez. Thoughts on Callum Wilson? Yeah, I like him with Isak being out. But he does face Arsenal in Game Week 11, and the fixtures aren't that great compared to Nunez, Alvarez. I mean, I say Alvarez only because of Game Week 11, really, and Ollie Watkins. Wilson or Nunez? I prefer Nunez at the moment. Going for Watkins captaincy, big mistake. I wouldn't say it's a big mistake. It's definitely worth a punt. Trying to be differential, past 2 weeks went for the safe pick and didn't pay off. Yeah, same here to be fair, but I generally just go for the captain I think will score the most points, but I just haven't been very good at that this season. Who to captain if you don't have Salah? I'd say it's between Saka and Watkins for me. Dylan Help, Game Week 8 wildcard, went without Haaland. I'm doing great, but I'm panicking. 2 free transfers, midfield, good. Strikers as well. Oh yeah, Isak is the big downer there. Yeah, I think what you could do, you could consider maybe rolling. Well, no, you've got 2 free transfers. You could consider using 2 free transfers to do Isak up to Haaland. But I think what you could also do, if you're kind of really settled on going without Haaland until Game Week 16, is to do Isak to Darwin Nunez. I think that could be a great shout. Nketiah as a short-term punt, or even go to Callum Wilson. One of those 3 strikers for Isak is the play. Your midfield's absolutely fine. You could go for Saka in there, but who would it be for? Most likely for Son, really. Or even Diaby, potentially. So I'd consider Diaby or Son to Saka, and also Isak to Darwin Nunez, Nketiah, or Callum Wilson. Yeah, I'm not sure where it is, Junior. If you can copy and paste it and I'll answer it. Start Simicas or a doggy. I'd go for a doggy. Do you think wildcarding basically just to get Watkins and Saka is worth it? Just for those two? No. Bench Alvarez or Nunez? I'd bench Alvarez this week. AM puts his team. Who to captain? Well, I'm personally going for Salah at the moment, but you don't have him. From the players you have, I think I'd go for Saka captain. Your team is good, by the way, but Sanchez is going to have some difficult fixtures now. I would look to sell him or to have another goalkeeper like Areola to come in for him. Look, Trent has some great fixtures coming up, but I think after Luton Town in Game Week 11, I would look to maybe sell him. So Trippier for a similar price is really good. You can also downgrade him to Gabriel or even a Spurs defender. I think you have a few options there. What I'm not a big fan of is you have double ups in Aston Villa and Liverpool defensively. I'm not too sure about that. I'd rather double up their attacks rather than their defense. Sterling, I think, is a sell. Nketiah is a good short-term punt. I like that. But yeah, I think my main issue, I mean, yeah, you have no Watkins, you have no Salah, and of course you can't cover everyone. That's completely fair and understandable. But I think Sanchez can definitely be upgraded, and I would diversify the defense for sure. Yeah, Vishal, I have answered that question. I would go for Matoma and Mabama. Do Son to Saka, says Konzo. I have Maddison anyway, but don't have the funds to do him to Saka. I have 1 free transfer. Yeah, I'd do Son to Saka. You don't have to, but I would do it. It's what I've done. Start Foster or Neto? Neto. What about Maddison to Saka and Neto to Adingra? Yeah, I think those are fine transfers. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Adingra. I think it's a decent option at that price and below. I'd rather upgrade. So with the extra, well, you've done actually Maddison to Saka, so I see what you're doing there. Yeah, those are fine with the fixtures of mine. I think it should pay off. I'm just not a huge fan of Adingra, if I'm being quite honest. Who's close to be essential, Watkins or Saka this game week? Depends who you think will score more points. I've currently got the vice captaincy on Saka, but it's a tricky one, to be honest, mate. I think Watkins, because there are more midfielders to choose from compared to the forward line where your options are rather limited. Thank you, Twister Parky. Yeah, the bots can be a bit weird, but they're there for a reason, and they should know their stuff. A doggy playing? I think so. Mauricio says I have 2 free transfers. I don't know what your situation is. Maybe, Sean, but you can't have everyone. It's all about priorities. Callum Jr. says, hi, Dylan. Transfer plans are Maddison to Saka, Haaland to Watkins, but don't know whether to go for Nunez over Archer for a -4 or just play Ward-Prowse. Thank you very much, Callum. Yeah, look, I do like that Nunez transfer. I think it's great. It's worth a -4. But if you've already got 5 midfielders and 2 forwards, you're going to have 8 attackers and you could have benching headaches every week. If you're happy with that, fair enough, go for it. But it's just something that you should be aware about because it could be a problem in the future. But do I like that move in terms of Nunez in for a hit and benching Ward-Prowse? Yeah, I actually do, to be honest. The thing is as well, though, you could also consider it the other way and just use the extra money to upgrade Ward-Prowse to Jarrod Bowen, maybe, if you don't have him. Gabriel, Udogie and Bumo start 2. Probably Gabriel and Udogie. Mauricio puts his current team: Areola, Cash, Agurd, Udogie, Burn, Bowen, Son, Saka, Maddison, Haaland, Watkins. Good team. Some different picks in there as well. If I'm being honest, though, I don't like the West Ham double-up defensively. You've already got Areola. So with Agurd, I'd look to maybe sell him to Gabriel or Tsimikas. I think Udogie will play today, so I wouldn't sell him. Your midfield is absolutely fine. Your forward line as well. I would also look to sell Doku. I don't think he starts this weekend. He started in the Champions League. So yeah, what I'd look to do, Awini's obviously on the chopping block too. You could either downgrade Awini to a 4.5 million forward and use those extra funds to maybe upgrade Doku. Or yeah, just focus on the Agurd transfer. But I think Agurd, Doku and Awini are sells. The rest is absolutely good. If I'm looking at your team, so you've got Son, Saka, Maddison, Haaland. Yeah, no Salah, and I don't know what money you have. But one thing you can consider is Awani down to that 4.5 million forward, and then use the extra funds to do Doku to Salah. But I think that's quite optimistic from my behalf. I don't think you can do that, actually. Thank you, Cylindra, for moderating the chat. Gordon, Matoma, or Bowen Gordon? Bowen Gordon. I'd be mad if Odegaard had a good game week, like you said. I think he will. It's just the way he is. He sometimes does really well, gets these massive hauls against the kind of weaker teams like a Bournemouth. Last season, it would have been, I mean, I forgot the teams already, to be honest. The teams that were there last season. But yeah, I think he just generally does really well against bottom 3 sides. I already have Trippier, Burn to Tsimikas, or Gabriel. I'd go to Gabriel, but it's a tricky one. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'd do that. I'm going to captain Saka over Salah. All my high-risk decisions have paid off. Yeah, good luck, mate. I mean, there's a reason why you're at that rank, but of course, there's always a first time for everything, and let's wait and see. What's the update? Just tuned in. Any transfers? I made 3 transfers, which I discussed in my team selection video. I brought in Saka, Tsimikas, and Jarrod Bowen. Hey, Dylan, Sanchez and Areola on wildcard, and who to start Game Week 10? I wouldn't go for Sanchez on the wildcard. The fixtures are poor. Chelsea's defense is quite good in terms of underlying numbers, but I'd rather just go for Turner or Johnston. I think they're better options than Sanchez, especially Johnston. So, yeah, that's what I'd do. And in terms of who to start, I'd go for Areola this week. Thank you for the super chat, Ahmed. I appreciate it. Start Adingra or Alvarez? Oh, that is a bloody tough question. If I'm being honest, I think I'd go for Adingra based on the fixture, but I'm very, very split on this one. And I'd encourage other people watching to answer this question as well, see what you say. Generally speaking, I'll pick Alvarez all day long, but based on the fixture, you've already got Haaland as well in your starting 11, and also Fulham at home for Brighton. I think I'll go for Adingra. Just about. If I change my mind, I'll let you know, by the way. Onana or Pickford? Pickford this week. Eddie Nketiah captaincy? No. No. Look, Nketiah is fine as an option, but you know, in the short term, whilst Jesus is out, but not as a captaincy option. No chance. I can't even remember. He's got 1 double-digit return in his whole career, or maybe 2. I think it was against Chelsea and Man United, but he rarely gets double-digit returns for me, and he's very inconsistent. His performances at the moment are very poor. I can see what you're doing there, and it's not, look, if you want to go for it, don't let me discourage you, but I personally wouldn't do it. He also starts Tsimikas and Udogie, or Burn and Udogie. So basically, Tsimikas or Burn, right? I would go for Dan Burn. Go for Neto to Soucek or Adingra. I wouldn't go to Soucek. I think Neto's better than him, to be honest. So I'd go for Adingra. Soucek is playing a more advanced role, though, so it's not the worst in the world. Captain Watkins for brace. Potentially. To keep Trippier, I'm having to keep Martinelli to cover Arsenal attack. Yeah, you always have to make a compromise, you know, if you want to have a certain player. So it's the way it is, really. Salah, 1 goal and assist. I mean, if that's how it ends up going, Salah's got the midfield advantage as well, can get all 3 bonus points. So let's wait and see, of course. I wildcarded in Game Week 8. Junior puts his team. Johnston, Areola, Byrne, Borro, Taylor, Gabriel, Cash, James Ward-Prowse, Salah, Son, Maddison, Diaby, Haaland, Foster, Solanke, 2 free transfers, and 0.6 million in the bank. So, yeah, looking at your squad, if you've got Areola on your bench, I would start him over Johnston this week. Yeah, you do. Yeah, I'd start Areola. That's very simple. In terms of ways to improve this, maybe Taylor to Tsimikas is an option for you. You could also do James Ward-Prowse. That is the one. James Ward-Prowse to Matoma. Yeah, I think if I'm looking at your team, Junior, I think James Ward-Prowse to Matoma is what I'd do. Eddie Nketiah captaincy. Nope, not for me. Martinelli or Matoma. This week, yeah, of course, Martinelli looks great, but overall, I prefer Matoma. Simeon says, hello Dylan, plan to sell Doggy for Tsimikas and Maddison for Saka. I've done something similar. I had Anderson from Newcastle. Is it worth a -4 for him? I can't afford Gordon. I need 0.2 million more. But is it worth a -4 hit for him? But who would you buy for Anderson? That'd be my question. As for your other 2 moves, completely good. I think that's really good and you should do it. Start 1, Tsimikas or Doggy or Alvarez. I'd probably go for a Doggy. Sounds crazy, but I think he will start. So that answers this question as well. Yeah, I would do that. I can't get into Matoma. Should I get in a Dingra or Palmer or Gordon? I'd go for Gordon. Martin or Matoma we've covered. Maddison, Bowen, Louise or Son, Matoma, Louise. It would be Maddison, Bowen and Douglas Louise. What else do we have? Dylan, is a Doggy going down in price tonight? One of the reasons for your Doggy transfer? No, the only reason I did it was to fund Bowen and Saka. I wouldn't be able to afford it. I was 0.2 million off from getting Bowen for James Ward-Prowse. So if I also wanted to get Saka in, I had to take the -4 hit and get Tsimikas. I don't think a Doggy's going down in price. Yep, I think he does play. Borro to Tsimikas. Borro to Tsimikas. I don't think it's necessary, to be honest. Unless you're using that to fund other moves. No Salah, should I captain Haaland, Saka or Watkins? I'd probably go for Saka or Watkins there. Haaland will be bottom of that list. Douglas Luiz, Palmer, Diaby or Gordon. In the short term, my preference is Diaby. Long term, I think, you know, if we're looking at the next 10 to 15 game weeks, Gordon's my favourite. Maddison out, Saka in. Yeah, that's fine. Look, Maddison's still a great option, but I think Saka's better. Foden or Borro bench? I'd probably bench Foden, but it's always risky. Do you think Newcastle will concede? My original prediction was 1-0. I'll probably get to that later on, but there's a chance. I don't think they'll concede much. You know, it's either 0 or 1 goal conceded for me, and my current inclination is that Newcastle will keep a clean sheet. Wilson or Nunez? It would be Darwin Nunez. Start Tsimikas or Adingra? I'd go for Tsimikas, I think, but very close call. What do you think is the best way to get Saka in? The best way to get Saka in is, well, for most people it would be Son to Saka. Very simple stuff. But if you also want to keep Son, then I think Maddison is going to be the next best one to upgrade to. Bench Gordon or Van der Ven? I would bench Gordon. We don't know. It's just my opinion. Start Højlund or Trippier? I would start Kieran Trippier. Who to start, Darwin or Alvarez? I'd go for Darwin Nunez. 7 million for a midfielder. Who do I pick? I would go for Diaby or Matoma. Mustafa says, I have Son, Maddison, Bowen, Diaby, Salah, but don't have Saka. I can get him for one of the Spurs players, but I don't think I should. Yeah, that's completely understandable. I'd personally do it, but I can understand why you don't want to. You can always do it in Game Week 12 and you should be fine. Callum Jr. says, just rethought my team and it's Ward-Prowse to a 4.3, Maddison to Saka, but Watkins for Alvarez, meaning I can keep Haaland. Yeah, I think that's also a good set of transfers, mate. I mean, the 4-point Premier midfielder isn't ideal, but yeah, overall, I think it's worth it. Bench, Gordon van der Ven, I've covered. Should I start Porro or Alvarez? I'd probably go for Pedro Porro. Brentford or Wolves defender for this game week only? For this game week only, probably Brentford, but I'm not a big fan. Start one of Udogie, Mbeumo, Cher, and Antonio Dillon. I would go for Udogie. Do you think doing Maddison to Bowen next week, or do I roll and do it in game week 12, or do I wait till Maddison plays Villa in game week 13? To be honest, it's a tricky one, but I'd only make that move, by the way, if you have Son, which I think you do, Milner. And to be honest, Maddison's still a great option, but yeah, I'd probably look to do Maddison to Bowen in game week 11. So start Udogie with Tsimikas, yes, I made that quite clear. Guys, what do you think? Callan in my wildcard, but I'll lose Bowen and get Palmer instead, and lose Trippier for a cheap defender. Yeah, the message was actually spammed, so yeah, we're not going to go through that. Thank you for moderating it. Would you sell Diaby to get on Saka? If that's your only way of doing it, then yes. Gordon, Son, Matoma, or Maddison, Bowen, Gordon? I think I've covered this before, and my answer was Maddison, Bowen, Gordon. Both good, though, of course. Both good trios. How many hits would you consider a wild card worth playing for? -8 potentially, but definitely -12 and above. Thoughts on Alvarez versus Bowen? I'd go for Bowen this week. I think that's quite simple. I'd play the fixture here. Maddison to Saka, Bodro to a 4.4 million defender. I mean, who'd you go to at 4.4 million and below? Maybe Lascelles. You could also go to, I think Van der Ven's now 4.5, so it's tricky. It is, to be fair, but you can go for Lascelles for a short-term punt. Soldier Boy says Son to Saka or Maddison to Martinelli. I'd go Son to Saka. Start free, Cash, Tsimikas, Bodro, Burn, Gabriel. I'd go for Cash, Pedro Bodro, and Gabriel, I think. Very close, though. Soldier Boy says Maddison to Martinelli or Maddison to Matoma, or keep Maddison. I think I just keep Maddison. Bodro to Tsimikas. I don't think you need to do that, Junior. And I did discuss some plans for you. Yeah, I think it was... Yeah, I think I covered your team already. Start Udogie or Sa, Udogie. Should I take Burn in the 11 for Alvarez? I mean, look, Alvarez certainly has a high ceiling, but I'd probably go for Burn. He's more likely to return this week, but it's tricky either way. Martin Oliveira says, sell Morris and Diaby to Watkins and Soucek with a -4, or sell Haaland and Morris and Diaby to Watkins, Son and Alvarez with a -4. Thank you for the question, Martin. It's tricky, to be fair. I don't like Soucek, to be honest, despite playing an advanced role and having good fixtures. But look, you have to back your gut here because I can get it wrong. I'd probably go for the last set of moves there, which does include selling Diaby and Morris, and Haaland as well. That's the problem. Really, really tricky one. To be honest, based on what you said, I'd go for the first option, Soucek and Watkins, but I'm not a big fan of Soucek, to be quite honest with you. Thank you for the super chat there, Bada LFC. Very much appreciated. For the next 2 weeks, your choice between Bowen and Matoma. For the next 2 weeks, that's interesting. I'd still go for Bowen. Long term, it's definitely Bowen for me. Look, Brighton have great fixtures up until game week 16, but I think Bowen is just more of a talismanic figure. He's going to play every single game, and he's also been more consistent so far this season. So I'd go for Jarrod Bowen. Matoma's certainly a good option, but I just think Jarrod Bowen is even better. Punjabi says Saka took a little knock against Sevilla, came off in the 80th minute and was limping. Nah, I don't really think so. He's just taking knocks every single game, but he should be fine, to be honest. I see why you're a bit concerned, and to be honest, with his recent situations of injuries, that's why I'm probably not going to captain him, but I really don't think that will be the issue. Any views on Maguire for short-term punt? Game week 13 looks very difficult. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people get Maguire in on the wild cards and as a free transfer, but I'm just not really a big fan of United defensively. They kept the clean sheet against Copenhagen. They've conceded to Brentford and the other games they've played like Sheffield United, so just not a big fan. Until I see an improvement, I'm not going to go there. Smith Stevens says, should I go Haaland, cheap defender, and Palmer, or Alvarez, Bowen, Trippier? Well, overall, my preference would be Alvarez, Bowen, and Trippier. And as for the last question, if money is no issue, it would be Heung-min Son. Should I get Saka for -4 by selling Son? I mean, the only reason I did that was to fund Bowen in for Ward-Prowse. Otherwise, I wouldn't really do it, to be honest. It's only to fund other moves. Thank you, Junior. Diaby to Saka for -4. Thoughts? Yeah, look, as good as Diaby is and the fixture's great, Saka's just a fantastic option. The hit will pay off eventually. It's a matter of time, but yeah, I think I'd do it. It's not necessary, though. I have to make that very clear. Thank you, Soldier Boy. Twisted Parky 06 says, bought in Saka for Mbumo before the price rise. Probably won't get Watkins now. I'm thinking of a doggy out rather than Burn due to doubts, although I do have Trippier. Who is better, Gabriel or Tsimikas? I think Gabriel, but, I mean, yeah, you are getting rid of Burn anyway. In Gameweek 11, Newcastle and Arsenal play each other, and that could be an issue for you in your starting 11 with plenty of conflicts, as we like to call them. So just bear that in mind, but I think Gabriel is better than Tsimikas. Tsimikas, Diaby and Mbumo, bench 1. Mbumo. Best Newcastle forward this week, Callum Wilson. Sell Morris and Diaby to Watkins and Soucek. Yeah, Martin, I answered your question already, mate. I'd go for the first set of transfers. I've covered it already. I mean, you say I don't answer you. I literally answered you, so I'm not going to go for it again. Son or Maddison? Son, if money is no issue. R says Vicaria or Areola? That's a great question. I think I'd go for Vicaria. Matoma or Diaby? I think that is Diaby for me. David Singo says, hi Dylan, Diaz, Doggy, Cash, Botman, Kabore, midfield of Bruno, Bowen, Mbumo, Salah, Maddison and Haaland, Alvarez up front, 2 free transfers, 0.1 million in the bank. What would you do? Well, looking at your team, I think your defence is the biggest issue. You've got Ruben Diaz with poor fixtures until Gameweek 16. You've got Sven Botman, who's injured, and you've got Kabore, who is pretty useless at the moment. A dog is also a doubt. Your midfield's completely fine, although Mbumo and Bruno could be sells as well. Your forward line is completely fine as well, despite no Watkins. But yeah, I think in your situation, 2 free transfers, I would look to sell Botman to Gabriel or Tsimikas. And I would also look to... I'd even consider a -4, to be fair. I genuinely would do it. So what I'd look to do is Botman to Tsimikas, maybe also a doggy to Gabriel, and then use those funds to do Mbumo to Matoma or Bowen. I don't think it's enough for Bowen, unfortunately, but you can get Matoma for Mbumo. And to be honest, actually, you know what? Scrap that. I'd keep Mbumo for now and sell Bruno instead to Jared Bowen. I think that's completely fine. Or even Saka. So, yeah. Saka or Bowen in for Bruno. Tsimikas and Gabriel in for Botman and Odogi, or even Kabore, because you have the funds of the Bruno transfer. So you're in a good shape there with those 2 or 3 transfers. How will you sort this bench? I'm going Gordon, Alvarez, and Kabore. Yeah, so how would I sort it out? Probably in that order that you put it. Maybe Alvarez first, but quite a tricky one, actually. No worries, Junior. No worries. Saka or Martinelli? Saka. Start Borro or Pedro Neto? Pedro Borro. Yeah, White is a good option. I agree. But he's also very expensive, and for almost $1 million cheaper, you can get Gabriel. Start Wilson or Matoma? I think I'd go for Matoma this week based on the fixture. Wilson's a good option, though, for sure. Saka or Matoma and save money? Saka still. Neil says, would you take a hit to get cover for a doggy? If a doggy doesn't start, then have 10 playing. Yeah, it's tricky. There's not many defenders I'd want to take a hit for this week. I did the hit for Tsimikas, but like I said, it's only to fund other moves. Otherwise, I would never have done it. So, yeah, if you're worried about a doggy, I would probably do it and go to one of Cash, Tsimikas, Gabriel, Trippier. And I'm obviously recognizing that you probably have Cash already and that you can't afford Trippier with those moves. But those are some defenders I'd take a hit for this week. I personally think that a doggy will start, by the way, but in your situation where you'd have 10 playing, if a doggy doesn't start, I can understand why you want to take the hit. Yeah, of course, Archer's just there to fill up the numbers. I don't think I'll ever play him. If we get like a sudden blank game week and he's one of the few players playing, then fair enough, but otherwise, I just don't see it. Adingra or Palmer? Based on fixtures, I'll go for Adingra. Overall, Palmer for me is the superior option, and what I'd look to do if I'm going for that sort of structure is buy Adingra up until Gameweek 16 and then send him to Palmer around that time period. What to do with Alvarez? Can't afford Watkins. Well, apart from Watkins and Haaland, I'd only sell Alvarez to Darwin potentially, and even then I don't think it's necessarily worth it. Son to Saka or Maddison to Martinelli? I'd probably do Son to Saka, but staying with Spurs is fine. They're the league leaders, they're having a good season. No worries, Milner. I think he should be untimed very soon. Let me see if I can untime him. Yeah, I don't think I can, but it should be fine. Apologies to Jahanahan. It's just a little error. No worries about it. Player doggy or burn. I I'd personally play a doggy, but most people will be saying Burn, and I understand that. But I think a doggy will play. Do a -4 for Foden to Bowen. Yeah, I think I would. Start Foster or Gordon? Gordon. Thank you, Neil. Hwang, a good option. Yeah, definitely. He still is. Solanke also. I do prefer Neto over Hwang, but one thing that Hwang is doing is scoring goals. Neto's only got 1 this season. Opinion on Saka captaincy? Look, he's in my top 3 easily this week. It's between him and Watkins for 2nd place. But it's really close, I think. And look, with Salah, I've also got the doubt in my mind about whether, you know, on the back of 2 massive returns, if now is going to be the time to, you know, for him to go a bit easier, really. But he's in great form. With Saka, he's capable of some great things. He's very consistent. That's what I like about Saka. The reason why I don't think I'm going to captain him, though, is because he's had injury problems in the last couple of weeks. And whilst I don't think that will be an issue, it's still there in the back of my mind. And I also think Sheffield United will go and sit with a very deep block. And with no Jesus, Arsenal could struggle to link that attack as well as they should. Who should I captain, Ollie Watkins or Son? Watkins for me. Hi, Dylan. Who should I start between Jay Alvarez and Bowen? I'd go for Bowen. Why not Watkins and Salah? Look, it's still a possibility. I'm not ruling it out, but I still think that's Liverpool-Nottingham Forest game. I'm going for like a 3-1 Liverpool there. With Aston Villa, yeah, I mean, I actually think Luton Town will just sit, you know, and park the bus very, just for the entire game, really. And look, Villa should still score 2 or 3 goals, but I just trust Liverpool and Salah more than Aston Villa and Watkins, if you catch my drift. Watkins has only scored 1 goal for me, and I've had him for 7 game weeks out of 9, so I've also got that, which influences my thinking. But look, Watkins could still become my captain. Rashford or Matoma? This week it'd be Matoma, definitely. And overall, he offers much better value. Is Douglas Luiz a good option this week? Yeah. You know, he's on penalties. He can score from long range. 7 goals in his last 6 home games. Definitely. Is he my favourite option? No. But at that price and below, only Adingra and Palmer really compare. Goldhead puts his team, roll or make a transfer somewhere. Yeah, your goalkeepers are fine. Your defense is also good. Although, if a doggy misses out, you might have to have Taylor or Gay coming in. Bowen, Salah, Maddison, Son, Neto, Watkins, Haaland. Yeah, it's a good team. I think Neto and a doggy would be the only slight concerns there. If I were you, I'd maybe do Neto to Gordon or a doggy to Gabriel/Tsimikas, but that's not necessary transfer. I personally think he will start, but just to maybe avoid that potential issue of Gay or Taylor coming in this week, then maybe a doggy to Gabriel/Tsimikas is the way to go there, Goldhead. Still no team news? I don't think so, and to be honest, I haven't had time to check it. I've just been answering questions. We've got 1 hour and 3 minutes left until the deadline, so definitely still a lot of time to discuss the key topics this week. Haaland, Salah, Saka, Watkins, who to captain this week? I'm currently going for Salah, but I'll be honest with you, if I were to change, I think it would be to Watkins or Saka, with Watkins being more likely. So I think I'm going to change my vice captain. Start Gordon or Tsimikas. I think I'd go for Gordon just about. Gordon or Douglas Luiz? This week, Douglas Luiz. Overall, Gordon's my preference, definitely in the long term. Should I go Salah or Haaland? This week is Salah all day long. Do you think Man United is better defensively than a Forest that's going to park the bus? Yeah, look, I don't think Liverpool will absolutely smash Forest, but I think they'll win by probably 2 goals, and my prediction is 3-1. So yeah, it could be tricky, of course. It's not that easy. Haaland scored a hat-trick against United last season, although it was at the Etihad. But I'd go for Salah. Captain Watkins or Saka? I'm probably going to switch my vice-captaincy to Watkins, to be honest. So I think my answer will be Watkins. I'm almost 50-50 on it, though. It might just come down to a toss of a coin. So yeah, that's one change I'm making right now. Watkins vice, Salah captain, but who knows, Watkins could even become my #1 pick. Why am I seeing Spurs mids being sold? In my case, it's only to fund the Jared Bowen move in for Ward-Prowse. If, for example, I could have done Ward-Prowse to Bowen with 2 free transfers, and literally I didn't need to do anything else, I would have just rolled the second transfer. Matoma Luiz, Matoma overall. I'm going to stick with him. I have 2 free transfers, says Ryan. Which players do you think are better to bring in, Bowen/Matoma or Gordon Adingra? Bowen and I'd say Gordon. Bowen and Gordon. Palmer or Adingra on wildcard? I'd probably go for Adingra for the fixtures and then swap to Palmer around game week 16 or 17. Keep Maddison or get Martinelli. Keep Maddison, to be honest. I think that's what I'd do. Should I use my transfer this week, says Rehan? Watkins, Salah captain, Bowen, Son, Maddison, Saka, Cash, Pedro, Bodro, Trippier, Burn, Areola. I mean, to be honest, what would you use the transfer on, though? I think your team is absolutely fine. Yeah, just Son. Yeah, you already got Saka, so yeah, I don't think you need to make a transfer this week, to be honest. Next game week, transferring Gordo for Neto. Not sure about next week because that's when Newcastle play Arsenal. Unless you back Newcastle to win or to get some goals, that's fair enough, but that's going to be a tricky fixture. So I'm not so sure. I'd probably do it this week instead. And then bench Gordon next week, ideally. Mbuma to Bone from -4. Already done Fernandes to Saka. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. I'd do it. Rashford for Bowen, Diaby or Douglas Luiz. I'd go to Bowen. He's my favourite of the lot. Hey Dylan, 2 free transfers here. Bring in Tsimikas, another defender for Akanji, or Akanji plus Diaby to Tsimikas and Bowen. As much as I like Bowen, I wouldn't necessarily sell Diaby this week. So my answer would be Tsimikas or Gabriel for Akanji. I can do Maddison to Saka. Can I do it for free or save the transfer? If you've got Son, I'd probably do it and sell Maddison to Saka. If you have no Spurs coverage after selling Maddison, I'd just keep him. Triple captaining Watkins. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I'm not going to do it myself, but it's a good shout. Neto or Ward-Prowse or Gordon? Great question. I'd go for Gordon long term. Are the next 5 Crystal Palace fixtures after today's good enough to bring in Anderson when moving out Botman? I think they're relatively decent. So if we have a quick look at the fixtures here, and we covered the fixtures earlier, by the way, the FDR, Palace are second. So after Tottenham at home in Game Week 10, they face Burnley away, Everton at home, Luton Town away, West Ham away, and Bournemouth at home. I think 2 or 3 clean sheets is likely in that 5-game period. So yeah, I think they are good enough to get in Joachim Anderson, to be fair. Jarsri Ram says, hey Dylan, 2 free transfers, bring in Tsimikas. Oh yeah, I covered that, mate. Hopefully you got it. Charlie, Taylor, Van de Ven or Lascelles? I'd start Van de Ven. Doggy and James Ward-Prowse to Tsimikas and Saka for a -4. Yes. As much as I like Doggy, I think he's going to start this week. If that's your way of upgrading James Ward-Prowse to Saka, do it. Do it. Final team plan, Dylan says, the budget traveller, Strakosha and Areola with Trippier, Gabriel and Cash at the back, midfield 5 of Bowen, Salah, Saka, Son and Matoma, and Watkins, Nunez up front. Alvarez, Tsimikas, Lascelles bench. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. I don't think I'd change anything in your starting 11. Yeah, that's all in good shape. Do I need to use the wildcard this week if I don't have Salah? Not really, because if you're only wildcarding for 2 to 4 moves, I just don't really see it as worthwhile. You know, generally speaking, with a wildcard, you want to make 6+ changes that are going to upgrade your team significantly. That's the way I see it. Of course, it's always different. If you might get into a situation where your team is absolutely amazing for most of the season, and you might end up burning your wildcard if you don't use it in the end. So I can understand that, but yeah, I'm not so sure if it's just to bring in Salah. My backline, Cesar, yeah, that's really solid, and yeah, I've got the same backline at the moment. I don't think Liverpool will keep a clean sheet, but it's possible. Of course it is. Mr. Parky puts his team. Would you start Burn over anyone? Yeah, probably over Tsimikas. Oh, no, you didn't put Tsimikas. Probably Tsimikas after deadline for Burn. Fair enough. But yeah, I'd start Burn over Gordon maybe and favour Newcastle's defensive chances over Gordon's chances of scoring. But yeah, apart from that, I think that's absolutely fine. Hi, Dylan. Thoughts on a doggy? I think he'll start today and get a clean sheet. So that's one of my possible regrets by selling him for a -4 hit. Thoughts on having Trent? Looks good after his injury. Yeah, great assist yesterday for Endo. But look, with Trent, I keep on saying it. If Tsimikas continues to start, which I think he will, you've got a Liverpool defender at 2.2 million cheaper. And at a similar price, you can go for Trippier, who is in a better defence. And in general, he's got good long-term fixtures and fantastic form. So yeah, the way I look at it, in terms of price, Trippier's better. And then the Liverpool defence, I'd rather go for Tsimikas. But Trent's not a bad shout, of course. That's a really good one. You think Fati will start? That's a good question. I don't think so. But surely it's a matter of time until he gets the opportunity to start, because he's mainly coming off the bench and making an impact. So that's a good question as well. I don't think he will, but I could be wrong. So yeah, we've got just under an hour left for the deadline. Keep your questions coming and like the stream if you haven't already. Our aim is to get this to over 150 likes, and depending on where we're at, maybe we could also hit 200. That'd be massively appreciated. Ferguson or Adingra? Adingra for me. With Ferguson, too many doubts about his minutes despite all the injuries to the Brighton attackers. My backline is border up, burn, cash. Is anyone about to go out or stay with it? Completely fine. I don't think you need to sell any of them necessarily. Gabriel and Tsimikas are good transfers for you, but you don't need to make those moves. Romero out for Gay. Not this week. Maybe next week, but not this week. Sufal update. I'll try to give you the update right now. So, the latest we got from him. He has muscular tightness and it will be down to a late fitness test, so we don't really know too much about it. And if there's no risk of injury, he's clear to play, he will start, but that is the big question, whether he passes that test or not, and I can't really tell you if he will or not. I can only give you my guess, which would be he will, but that's literally just guessing. Coopsy Coop says, hey Dylan, should I do Maddison to Saka and a doggy to Maguire and bench Maguire? I'll be honest, I'd rather go for Gabriel or Tsimikas instead of Maguire, but if that's your... Look, if you want Maguire and a United defender, fair enough. And if that's the fund Saka in for Maddison, then fair enough. Good transfers. I just don't like Maguire or Man United defenders. No, Ferguson isn't nailed in my opinion. He didn't even start that crucial game yesterday against Ajax. Emma O'Connell says, hi Dylan, start 1. Lascelles, Baleba, Palmer or Taylor. Lascelles for me. N says Maddison to Matoma and a doggy to Tsimikas allows me to upgrade Solanke next week. Would you do anything different, Dylan? Good plans. And who would you upgrade Solanke to? That'd be my question. Would it be Alvarez, Darwin Nunez, Callum Wilson, or even Watkins? Let me know. But I like your plans overall. Getting rid of 2 Spurs players isn't ideal, but the fixtures aren't great. And if you've got Son already, I think that's fine. The doggy and Maddison to Tsimikas and Bowen. Yes, I've done the same move myself with obviously keeping Maddison and selling Son instead. And I think it's a decent set of moves. Start Foden or Darwin. I'll start Darwin this week. Matoma and Maddison or Son and Adingra. I would go for Matoma Maddison. Better duo. Bojan Supak says Son to Saka. Next game it's Solanke to Matoma. And I can get one 4.6 million defender on the bench. Or same thing, but Maddison to Saka and 4 million defender on the bench. I'd rather do the first set of transfers. So Son to Saka, then do Solanke to Matoma, I think it is. And a 4.6 million defender. If that's the way it's going, I think that looks pretty good. Terrific Tech asked for his thoughts on his team. Raya, Strakosha, Doggy, Trippier, Anderson, Taylor. Yeah, so your defense, a few issues there potentially. I think a Doggy will play, but you might be a bit fearful. Taylor's just there to sit on the bench. Anderson's facing Tottenham this week. I think he'll concede. I think Fernandes is a sell, but yeah, I think Solanke, Fernandes, and Taylor could be upgraded on. The rest is absolutely fine. Areola in for Strakosha would be ideal, but then again, money is an issue. So yeah, what I'd look to do, mate, is potentially I would do Bruno Fernandes down to either Saka or Jeroboam. And well, actually, Saka's actually more expensive than Fernandes, by the way. So depending on your budget, which I don't know what it is, by the way, I would do Fernandes to Saka. If you can't do that, then I would consider Bowen. And then you can also use those extra funds to upgrade Taylor to Tsimikas. Ethan says, hi, Dylan, I'm on the wild card. Would you sell Haaland if my team value is under 0.2 million? Look, personally, I wouldn't sell Haaland on the wild card now, especially with Gameweek 11 looming large against Bournemouth. And look, I'm not trying to fearmonger. You can do other Haaland. But I personally think from Gameweek 11 onwards, Haaland is a fantastic option and probably the best in the game, if not second, behind Salah. I only have 4.2 million in the bank, so can get either Maguire or Branthwaite. I'd go for Maguire. Guys, smash the like button and subscribe. Show max support for Dylan's efforts and work for us FPL managers. Thank you, Punjabi. As always, it's much appreciated. Hey, Dylan, would you prefer a doggy to Gabriel or burn to Tsimikas? Says Brady Eva. My preference would be a doggy to Gabriel. What do you think about Haaland plus Foden to get Salah, Alvarez / Watkins? Risky to go with Haaland for Bournemouth? Definitely. You don't need me to tell you that. But you are getting Salah and either Alvarez or Watkins. So, yeah, overall, what do I prefer? Salah and Watkins for sure. And what you could do is maybe do a bit of a switcheroo, bring Alvarez for Watkins in next week. But, yeah, I think I'd probably just keep it simple and keep Watkins up until Game Week 15. So, yeah, I would make the moves. But going without Haaland in Game Week 11, yeah, it can be a disaster potentially. But you can have the squad and the quality to still do relatively well without Haaland. Just joined the live. I think a doggy's playing, but that's just my guess. And also, maybe it's owner's bias after selling him. Maybe I'm just more pessimistic from my perspective, but I genuinely think he's going to be available and start. And I do regret selling him a little bit. But then again, I wanted to get Bowen and Saka. So in the end, it is what it is. I'm going to stomach it, whatever happens. Salah or Watkins captain. I've currently gone for Salah. I might change it to Watkins in the end, but all week I've said Salah. He also won the captaincy poll, which I put out on the YouTube channel. If you subscribe, you will see my YouTube polls. I'll try to get it up on screen, by the way. We've also covered stats for, Watkins versus the Salah comparison and stuff like that. So if you want to see all of that, then rewind to early in the stream. It'd be very easy to find. But let me try find these polls. I also put one for my transfer plans. And the -4 hit, which I ended up taking, was the winner, which was quite surprising. So let's bring up the YouTube community tab from YouTube. So here it is. So which of the following moves would you make? And in the end, the one that won was the transfers I made. So Doggy, Ward-Prowse and Son to Tsimikas, Bowen and Saka for a -4 hit. I only did a Doggy to Tsimikas and Son to Saka to fund Ward-Prowse to Bowen, really. But I also want that Arsenal coverage. And this big question with over 2,000 votes, vote for your Gameweek 10 captain. Salah is winning the vote with 61%. You can still vote, by the way, of course. Watkins is second with 19%. Haaland is third with 12%. And Saka is last with 8% of the votes. And to be honest, I think that's the way I'd look at it as well. Watkins second as the captaincy options. Saka third. I'd probably put Haaland fourth. In fifth, I'd probably look at Son. And in sixth, maybe someone like Matty Cash, potentially. But yeah, that top four is, in my opinion, the 4 best captaincy options in Gameweek 10. Let me know who you're captaining in the live chat as well. Let's go back to my team and back to your questions, of course. Keep on smashing the like button. I think we're now at 137 likes, so just 13 away from 150. That'd be massively appreciated. Thank you to those that have done it already. Thank you, Ethan. Much love and good to see you, and also some great contributions to the chat. Best Wissa replacement. Not sure what your budget is, but assuming you don't have enough for Alvarez, Watkins, and Nunez, I would maybe look at Ferguson. Potentially, but I'm not a big fan with the potential rotation. Milner says, finish team. Just going to moderate the chat now and chill. I appreciate that, Milner. Your team is in good shape. Johnston's the only kind of issue I would have with it, but I do anticipate a low-scoring game there, so probably 1 or 2-0 Spurs. So yeah, I think your team is in really good shape, to be fair. You've got a great front two. The midfield and defence is really solid, and Johnston's the only concern I'd have. I might eat my words, but I feel like Haaland's not the same. To be fair, though, he's got 8 goals in, nine goals, no? 9 goals in 9 Premier League games, 1 assist. He scored a brace in the Champions League. Yes, is he better with De Bruyne there? No doubt about it. And City are struggling a bit at times, especially when Rodri misses out. But I still think Haaland's top quality. Mbuma to Matoma or Mbuma to Adingra to save money? Matoma for me. I'd go for Matoma. Should I do Alvarez to Watkins and Ward-Prowse to Adingra for free? For a -4 if a doggy doesn't start, and captain Watkins? That is the only way to get Watkins for me. I would do it, yeah. It's not ideal, and Alvarez faces Bournemouth next week where he can do extremely well, and Alvarez is still top quality, fixture proof, and a great player, but I think I would take that -4 hit. Start Alvarez or Ward-Prowse? I think I'll go for Alvarez, to be fair. Really close, but I'm going to go for the Argentine. I just don't like Ward-Prowse playing such a deep role, which is why I took the -4 hit and got rid of him. Doing a doggy to Gabriel and Son to Saka, but defense is weak next week with Burn, Gabriel and Cash. Yeah, Burn and Gabriel facing each other. Cash is all right against Nottingham Forest, I think it is. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. But that's why, Kyram, you could consider Tsimikas instead of Gabriel. And then in Gameweek 12, you can still bring Gabriel in. Yes, of course, you might miss the haul in Gameweek 10, but you can then bring in Gabriel in Gameweek 12 for another defender. I'm not sure who your 4th or 5th ones are. And you have Tsimikas in Gameweek 11 against Luton Town away. Just a thought. A doggy or share to start? A doggy. Select 4 from 5, says Gobbery. Son, Maddison, Gordon, Bowen, Matoma. Now Matoma on the bench. I would actually bench Gordon. I'd start Matoma over Gordon, despite Gordon being in better form, FPL-wise. Son and Maddison have to start. Same with Bowen for me. So yeah, I'd go for Matoma over Gordon and bench the Newcastle midfielder. Diane says Salah puts in consistent points, but during the games he seems very unlikely to score. Yeah, no, that's a decent point you raised there. And I think if you exclude penalties, his non-penalty XGI isn't that high. I think it's around 1.52 over the last 4 game weeks. So that's a fair shout. And I said this, at the weekend when Salah got a brace against Everton. There was obviously a bit of luck involved with the red card to Everton. Kanata should have been sent off. Then you have the penalty, which of course is a penalty. I'm not going to deny that. But all of those factors contribute towards Salah's haul. So I think you are right. Does that mean Salah's a bad option? No. Is he overperforming? Maybe a little bit. But he has the quality to sustain it. And he's a clinical finisher. He's a great creator. And a lot goes through him in that Liverpool team. Salah plus Gordon plus Palmer. Or Saka, Bowen and Gordon, says Rakish. My preference would be Saka, Bowen, and Gordon. Tarek says, Dylan, hello, wildcard, if you please. I made a wildcard video just a few days ago. If you want, check that out. I don't think I changed much, if anything at all, to be honest. Rehan says, should I use bench boost, Johnston, Alvarez, Foster, Gusto? No, not for me. I can see why you're looking to do it. Foster's got a good fixture against Bournemouth. You've got Alvarez there, who's always a threat. Johnston can still get some decent points, even 3 or 4. And Gusto has Brentford, but I personally wouldn't do it. Is Matoma essential? No. Is he a great option on paper? Yes. But is he essential? No. Definitely not. Do you think Martinelli is nailed in the upcoming fixtures? I think so, especially with Jesus going out. But conversely, Jesus being out might be bad for Martinelli FPL-wise, and he won't get as many opportunities because that link-up is very good, as you saw against Sevilla. Sonny says Maddison and Lamptey to Tsimikas and Diaby. Yes, but I'd only do it if you've got Son and that Spurs coverage offensively. Twister Parky says, imagine being as good as Haaland and everyone thinks you're not playing well. Yeah, fair enough. The thing is with Haaland, look, I'm not even trying to be a hater, it's just my opinion. It doesn't really count for much, but Haaland's a great goal scorer. Do I think he's a great footballer? No, but I do think this kind of narrative of, oh, he's not that good without De Bruyne, I think it's a bit exaggerated. I can see why people say it, and of course, De Bruyne makes a difference, but Haaland still scores goals. He's got 9 in 9, and apparently this is poor by him. I mean, he's just setting, the Premier League standards to another level in terms of goal scoring. A doggy for Tsimikas for -4. If you've got no decent cover to come on if a doggy misses out, then it's worth it. But in my opinion, a doggy will play. That's just the way I see it. I think he will start. And if you've got that cover anyway, just in case, I just don't think you need to take the hit. So it just depends on that coverage you have and how optimistic you are. If it was me, I think I'd just keep a doggy. I've done that move, by the way, and you'll be thinking you're a hypocrite. That's only to fund Bowen in for Ward-Prowse. Otherwise, I would have kept my defence as it is. Haaland scored 1 in 3 games against United. The game he scored in was a hat-trick at home. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Blanked in the FA Cup final and also at Old Trafford. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think he will score. Do I think he'll get a massive return? Maybe not, but it wouldn't surprise me if he got a brace. I'll be quite real with you. Before the Brighton game, I said I think Haaland will score 4 in the next 3 at the very least. And he got a goal against Brighton. So my prediction would be 1 goal here and probably 2 or 3 against Bournemouth. Organ says, I have my captain on Salah and was about to switch to Watkins. I am now seriously considering Saka. Yeah, no, I understand. And it's kind of good for the game because for the past year or so, most weeks we're talking, it's just Haaland captain and a lot of our teams are quite settled and, there's not much room for difference. But at the moment, things are quite interesting. Even though I'm not doing well, I think it is better than it was maybe a few weeks ago, even when I was kind of a bit bored maybe at times. But yeah, I see what you're saying there. It's very difficult, as Sean says as well. Cash or a doggy? Cash. Burn or Lascelles in for Neto? I would go for Burn. Luton will park the bus, but defensive injuries, super worried. Villa are better than Chelsea, etc. and at home. And also Villa average 3 or 4 goals per game at Villa Park. Gordon or Bowen? Bowen. Start a doggy or Tsimikas? I'd personally go for a doggy. Cash or Pedro Porro? Cash. Aid says, Dylan, I'm stuck here. I need help on who to replace Richarlison, 8.3 million in the bank. Bowen for me. So I don't know your team, so it's tricky for me to answer, but I'd say Bowen is the best one. Is Douglas Luiz a good option to hold for the short term? Yes. He has returned in all home games and he's playing Luton and Fulham at home in the next 3 game weeks. Yeah, I agree. Afterwards, especially from game week 13, I'd look to sell. But for now, he's absolutely fine. He's probably one of the best options at that price and below, even over Palmer and Adingra. Gordon or Soucek? Gordon. The level Salah reaches season after season is honestly scary. Yeah, look, in terms of goal output, there's not much better in Premier League history on the wing. There's no doubt about it. And there's this debate about who is better in the Premier League, Ronaldo or Salah. You can make a case it was Salah, to be quite honest with you. He's just been so good for Liverpool in the past 7 seasons now. I've lost count, 6 seasons. And yeah, you know, just when you think, oh, he's finished, like last year, just look what he ends up doing. 7S says -8. Akanji to Tsimikas, no other playing defender. Also have a doggy. Neto to Adingra and Jackson to Watkins. That's completely understandable. I would do it. Yeah. I think Tsimikas or Gabriel would be absolutely fine, mate. So, yeah, I would go ahead with the moves, even for a -8. I was going to keep a doggy over burn due to fixtures, but think I'm at the moment going to burn nailed 4 more minutes. Yeah. The thing is with the doggy, though, he was only subbed out because he had a problem at halftime. Lascelles or Taylor on the wild card? Lascelles. Who would you drop? Bowen, Gordon, Maddison, Saka, Salah, Alvarez, Watkins, Darwin. I'd probably bench one of Alvarez or Gordon, and if I had to pick one, my gut feeling would be Gordon. I think so. Is Son essential? No. Is it a great option? Yes, but essential? No. Start Alvarez or Burn. I have Trippier. I'd go for Alvarez. Haven't watched any Villa games this time. Does Watkins usually get enough chances to be a sure shot pointer? We went over his stats earlier. He had 9 big chances this season, the same as Salah. His XG isn't that great, though. It's around 3. I think it's just shy of 4. It's decent, but it's not amazing. And I think there is a big overperformance so far this season. And with Watkins, a lot of times he's getting assists and not the goals. He scored in 3 games this season against Chelsea, Brighton, and of course in the game that just went by. But yeah, he can be sometimes just a creative hub. Everything goes through him. There's no denying that. But in terms of goal-scoring chances, I would give it to Salah this week. I have Trippier, start Burn or Decore. I'd go for Burn still. Just don't like Decore or Everton assets. Dylan, who's the best 5 million midfielder? Overall, is Palmer. But when you look at fixtures, my argument or my suggestion would be go for Adingra now, and then in game week 16 or 17, go to Palmer afterwards. Ethan 2 Guns says, hi Dylan, I'm thinking of doing Trent and Gordon for Fernandes and Saliba. Yeah, good moves. Saliba does have a better chance of a clean sheet in my opinion compared to Trent, but I can see why you're doing it. Other defenders are Trippier, Cashburn and a doggy. Thoughts? If I'm being honest, if I were to get rid of Saliba, and to be honest, I'd rather keep him, I would look to go to Tsimikas instead. Or one thing you could also do is sell a doggy instead. So if it was me personally, I would do Udogi to Gabriel, but because you have Saliba already, I'd go to Tsimikas. So Udogi to Tsimikas, and yeah, Gordon for Fernandes is fine. But I don't know what your other midfielders are, and if I'm being quite honest with you, I do prefer Bowen over Gordon at the moment. Ken back says Saka plus Tsimikas in for Maddison and Pedro Porro. Already have Salah, Son, Bowen, Neto. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine, mate. I like those transfers. I've made the same moves myself. Alvarez and Lascelles or Solanke and Udogi. My preference is Alvarez and Lascelles, but Lascelles is a very short-term punt. By game week 12, Botman should be back. Oamara says, hello Dylan, start Tsimikas or Lascelles? Tsimikas. When the only captain is so boring and you can't take many risks and jump up the ranks, yeah. And also, I was doing well last season, by the way, much better than this year. But I think the last few weeks, at least, this season have been interesting. Before that, it was quite boring, in my opinion. But look, still 84% of the game own Haaland, to be fair. Who is the best option to replace Bowen? Why replace Bowen, though? Unless you're making a lot of upgrades elsewhere, I don't think it's worth downgrading Bowen, mate. If I had to pick one, it'd be Matoma. Matoma or Diaby, I'd go for Diaby short term. Start Fernandes or Alvarez, I'd go for Alvarez. Jeff Rogers says, hey Dylan, worth doing Son to Saka or Pedro Porro to Tsimikas, using the downgrade to fund Neto to Matoma? My preference will be Pedro Porro to Tsimikas. Yeah, I think so. Because Son is still a great option. And if you don't have Maddison already, then yeah, I would want that Spurs coverage offensively. CNUT says, Jesus for Watkins from -4 or just playing Boomer. I take the -4 for Watkins and bring Watkins. Yep. Worth taking a hit to take out Foden and bring in Saka? Yeah, I think so, Patrick. Callum Jr. says, really tempted to go Martinelli over Saka. I can see why. I think Saka is significantly better, though, FPL-wise, and more consistent. Bowen or Diaby? Bowen. I like the Bowen suggestion, but thoughts on Martinelli or a Doku punt? If I had to pick between those, it would be Martinelli for sure. And don't get me wrong, Martinelli is a good differential, but if it's between Bowen and Martinelli for me, you're going to know my answer on that. But yeah, Martinelli is a better punt than Doku. And also Odegaard this week, I think is going to do well. Vladimir says Matoma, Gordon and Cash, or Adingra, Martinelli and Pau Torres. Matoma, Gordon and Cash. In Boomer or Foden for Matoma for a -4, worth it. I think what I'd do is sell in Boomer to Matoma. And yeah, I think it is possibly worth it. And then after Game Week 11, so heading into Game Week 12, I'd look to do Foden out to maybe Bowen as well. Nottingham Forest has a better defence compared to Sheffield United. Yeah, I agree. Is it better to go with Saka? But I also think Liverpool look a bit more dangerous offensively than Arsenal. They've scored more goals. Not a big difference in terms of goals, but I think Liverpool have been more creative. They're creating more chances. Arsenal, I think, are around mid-table for non-penalty XGI. And things aren't clicking entirely in the midfield. And also, you know, with the forward line, you know, with Jesus now out again, Arsenal just missed that overall striker because Nketiah just can't do this. Someone who can link up the play, take players on, dribble, cause chaos, and drift defenders out of position to open up spaces for Martinelli and Saka. But I agree with you. I think that's 100% right. I also think Liverpool are better than Arsenal offensively at the moment, and I also think Salah is generally a better FPL option than Saka at the moment too. Palmer not a good option right now. I think he's all right, but after Brentford, I just wouldn't want to start him any week, really, with the fixtures coming up. Alvarez or Burn, who is best to start? I'd probably go for Alvarez. Hi, Dylan. I still have the wild card and think my team is fine. When you suggest activating it? Difficult for me to know without knowing your squad, Akraf, to be honest, but maybe you could save it for around Game Week 18 or 19. And if we get that double game week of Man City, Brentford in Game Week 20, you could potentially wildcard into a team of triple Man City and triple Brentford, and also triple Captain Haaland or bench boost in Game Week 20 there. Who's more likely to start the next couple of weeks for the Brighton fixtures? Thinking of taking out Solanke for a Brighton striker. I personally think Matoma's the most nailed on, but as a striker, I'd probably go for Ferguson. But I'm not convinced, if I'm being honest. Don't have Watkins, and the only way to game is to downgrade Haaland. What to do? Pray? Well, look, if I was being a bit bold and making a lot of moves, I would potentially do Watkins in this week and then just bring Haaland back in next week. But it does seem like you're chopping and changing a bit too much if you do that. So I can understand your dilemma. But look, if you've got most of the key assets, so someone like Son, Haaland, Salah, Saka, Trippier, if you've got most of those, you should be fine. Ethan Two Guns says current midfielders Bruno, Saka, Salah, Maddison and Son. Yeah, so I think I would have done the moves that we discussed earlier. Yeah. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. Would you get Saka from -4 hit, says Sahil? Yes, but it also depends who you're selling and what else are you doing with the extra funds, or, you know, what your other plans are. A doggy to Gabriel or Neto to Douglas Luiz Adingra? A doggy to Gabriel. I make the wildcard the best midfield, in your opinion? Check out my best wildcard team video, but it would be something like Maddison, Saka, Bowen, Salah, and I think the fifth one would be Mitoma. I think I'd go for a midfield 5 like that. Are you considering bringing a United attacker for Luton at home in Game Week 12? To be honest, no. No. Yeah, they can do extremely well that week. And look, if I'm in a position there where I get an injury all of a sudden, like Saka, then yeah, that could be a possibility. And I'd go to Fernandes, but I very much doubt it, mate. If you had to create a free hit team for this week, what players would you have? I think Salah, Saka, Watkins would be almost essential on the free hit. I'd also go for Trippier. I'd also go for Matty Cash, Gabriel in the back line. Or maybe, you know what I'd do? I think I'd go for Raya in goal, a back three of Cash, Trippier, and either Trent or maybe Tsimikas, something like that. Even Pedro Porro is a good shout against Palace. The midfield 5 would be Salah, Saka, Bowen, Son, and possibly Diaby. And the front two would be Watkins and Darwin Nunez, I think. Of course, if you are free hitting, you also might have that question, do I go about Haaland or do I go about City entirely? And that's a difficult question because, look, I think City will win, but I expect the derby to be quite tight. But yeah, something like that would be my free hit team. Will a doggy start? I think so. Choose two, says Safe Adil. Bowen and Diaby this week, if that's the question. If it's for this week, overall, who's the best? It'd be Bowen and Maddison for sure. I'm hoping Watkins gets no more than he did against Burnley and Everton. Well, to be honest, I'd love a 23-pointer from him, but I just don't see him getting anywhere near that from now until the end of the season, unfortunately. Sorry, no news about the Spurs lineup as far as I'm aware. If you see anything, let me know and put the link in the live chat. We've got half an hour left until the deadline. I will have a look and see what we can get. So bear with me for a second. So let's see if I can get any Spurs lineups. I'm just checking Twitter right now. I mean, I just saw a predicted lineup, which is basically what we've been seeing last couple of weeks. Just Johnson in for Richarlison. Yeah, a lot of people expect the doggy to start, but yeah, I haven't seen anything concrete, to be honest. Not yet, anyway. Spurs lineup. Yeah. I'll have a look again very shortly. We might get something around 6:15 p.m. UK time, so in around 15 minutes, but I don't see anything. Mbeumo to Gordon, yep, solid transfer. It should pay off. Of course, is Gordon the best midfielder based on fixtures? Maybe not, but I do like him. João Pedro I would go for. Yeah, that's fair enough, Twister Parky. I was thinking about him, but I don't know. Maybe he will start in the Europa League and Ferguson in the Premier League. I mean, who knows, to be honest. Son and Soucek or Maddison and Gordon? Maddison and Gordon. Let's see what we have. Mauro says, with 2 free transfers, Porro to Tsimikas or Neto to Dingra and Lamptey to Tsimikas. My moves would be Lamptey to Tsimikas and Neto to Dingra. Yeah, I'd do that. Worth going Gabriel up to Ben White? No, I don't think you need to do that. I just stick with Gabriel. And also, Gabriel has more goal-scoring threat, in my opinion, despite that not being the case so far this season. Maddison or Diaby, I have Son. Well, overall, I prefer Maddison, but for this week, who do I think scores more points? It'd be Diaby, so it just depends what you're asking, really. Dylan, does Maddison have a better away record than Son? Yeah, Maddison's returned in every single away game so far this season. Maybe Son has a similar amount of points because he scored a hat-trick against Burnley away, but Maddison's more consistent away from home. Hi, Dylan, would you sell on Boomer or Richarlison for a -4? I mean, as much as the fixtures aren't great for Brentford, Mbeumo is a better FPL option than Richarlison, in my opinion. I'd sell Richarlison. I have Areola and Leno. I am looking to free up some funds next week. Who do you suggest to bring in instead of Leno? Johnston. And if you want to go even cheaper, then maybe Turner. Maddison or Diaby, yep. Tsimikas or Gabriel? Gabriel. If I could choose any 5 defenders for my Game Week 10 wildcard, who should I get? Check out my best wildcard team video. That can definitely help you, but I'd say Gabriel, Cash, Tsimikas, Pedro Porro, and either Trippier or Burn, depending on how you're prioritizing your team. But that would be my sort of foundation there. The best 2 goalkeepers to rotate, I still like Areola. He would be one of my picks. I'd say Johnston and Areola would be quite fine. Thank you, Hermoso, and good luck. Start Martinelli or Diaby. You're not going to bench one of them, come on. I just can't pick between those two. I think Diaby's a better FPL option, but both of them were plum fixtures this week. Don't bench either. Darwin or Nketiah for Isak? Darwin. Maddison or Diaby, we've covered, mate. Try not to spam. Neto to Martinelli. I already have Saka. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think Bowen is better than Martinelli, but I think Martinelli, that's a really good differential, having 2 Arsenal attackers for Burnley and Sheffield United at home in the next 3. Thank you, Aaron, for the super chat. Son and Almiron to Saka and Bowen. Yes, mate. I can't 100% that even more. Diaz to Martinelli is also fine. Good shout, but I think Son and Almiron to Saka and Bowen is a great upgrade. Losing Son is a bit of a downer. I would love to keep him as well, but I think you're upgrading your team. I'd go for it. Is João Pedro a good option for the wild card? At that price and below, you can't really complain. I think he's fine, but yeah, I think my favourite Brighton player would be Matoma and Estupiñán. Clocks change on Sunday, people don't forget, just to make sure everything is darker and more depressing. Yeah, I second that, to be honest. I hear it. Take out Haaland to get Salah. Yeah, look, at the moment I prefer Salah. I've said that for the last couple of weeks, but just bear in mind Haaland faces Bournemouth next week, mate, and you might want him back. Starting Tsimikas or Fernandes, I'd go for Tsimikas. Lager says I have Bowen too. You know what? You're in good shape, mate. I'd go for it. And I like Neto, but I think that Martinelli differential could be great. Odegaard too. Any Udogie news? No, but every single predicted lineup I see has Udogie in. Let me actually see if I can get something from... I'm trying to remember his name. There's a guy who had contacts in Tottenham before. Oh, jeez, what is his name? I think I've... Let me check. Let's see if I can get him up in here. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find a page that typically gets the lineups quite spot on. They make predictions. Sometimes they're not even predictions. They have inside information. I think it's Paul O'Keefe. That's it. Paul O'Keefe. Okay, let me see if I can get him up on my phone and see if he's got a predicted lineup for today. Don't think he does, unfortunately. Maybe he'll post one later on today. But that's something he used to do last season. Luka Cash. I've literally mixed up the names. I'd go for Cash, mate. I think Cash is better than Luka Deem. Captaincy poll. Yeah, we can do one. I showed what is up on my channel, and Salah did win with 60% of the votes. But yeah, let's go for it. Why not? Could I make one through here? Start a poll. Yeah, I think I can do it. Yeah, okay, let's go. So, who are you going to captain in Game Week 10? Something like that. Or who is the best captain? Who's the best captain in Game Week 10? Alright, so let's do it. I'm not going to put the flags. Otherwise, I'll just slow it down even more. So we're going to put Salah, Watkins. Oh, for fuck's sake, I've got to do it on another browser. That is annoying. Yep. Just going to have to... Give me a second, lads. I will be very quick, trust me. It's just can't do it from my main browser, unfortunately. Alright, so start poll. Here we go. Let's see where we're at. Alright, yeah. We have hit over 150 likes, so I appreciate that. And if possible, I know it might be asking for a lot, but with 23 minutes left and potentially half an hour more in the deadline stream, let's try to get this stream to 200 likes. That'd be greatly appreciated. We have gone for a lot of questions today, as we usually do. So who's the best captain in Game Week 10? We'll go for Salah, Watkins. I can't put too many options, by the way, and I would like to put the other option, but not going to be able to. So Salah, Watkins, Saka, and we'll put Haaland. I think those would be the top four. Who's the best captain in Game Week 10? Yeah, I think that was absolutely fine. All right, so I put the poll out. Make sure to vote and make your feelings known. Let's see. Gabriel, Hechan, or Watkins? I mean, Watkins for sure. Richarlison to Diaby or Matoma? I'd go to Diaby personally. No, not a big fan of double up in Villa defence. I'd rather double up on their attack. I think one's enough and Cash is the one. Why not captain Haaland? I think there's other players who will score more points. It's as simple as that. Better fixtures. I think United versus City will be tight. And yeah, it's not like Haaland's in the best of form anyway. But yeah, I see Haaland scoring one goal. I don't see him scoring a hat-trick. And if he does, then fair play to those that captain him. The Doggy and Maddison to Tsimikas and Saka for free. Yes. It's not absolutely necessary, but I would do it. Best midfielder to bring in under 6.8 million? Mitoma. Captain who? Watkins, Haaland, Saka, Son, Maddison. You can see the poll. And you can also see on screen what I'm going for. Should I do Mbumo to Ansu Fati or Diaby? I'd go to Diaby. Fati could be one to look at later on, though. That's for sure. I'm going for Haaland, actually. Good luck, Lager. Let's see how it all goes. That's quite interesting. Hey, Dylan. Some surprise name of the midfield? Odegaard and Martinelli, if I can call them surprises. Richarlison to Diaby or Matoma, I'd go to Diaby. Free hit. Yeah, that's a good free hit team. João Pedro, I'm a bit unsure about, but the rest looks great. And I wonder who your goalkeeper is as well. And your defence. Saka to Salah and Haaland to Watkins -4 hit. so difficult because you're also selling Saka, who's great this week. I mean, yeah, overall, I think the hit should pay off, but in Game Week 11, Haaland has a great fixture. Saka's got good long-term games, and you'd probably want to bring him back in. So it's just difficult. I'm not sure either way. Bench 1, says Mickey. It would be Bruno Fernandes, I think. Yeah. Start Lascelles or Colwill. Lascelles. Udogie to cash and Son to Saka for -4. Yeah, I think so. Haaland plus Diaby to Salah and Wilson. Yeah, but do I prefer Darwin, Watkins, and Alvarez over Wilson? Yes. But yeah, that's absolutely fine. Those transfers are good. Diaby has a great fixture this week, Haaland next week, but I can see why you're doing it, to be fair. Bench 1 says Efstrachios. Hopefully I haven't butchered that. Son, Saka, Salah, Diaby, Bowen, Darwin, Watkins, Joao Pedro. It's probably Joao Pedro. Would you make any changes, says Fionki? No, I don't think so. You don't really need to, if I'm being honest. I need a Martinelli masterclass. I wouldn't mind that, despite not owning him, so good luck. I've captained Son. Good luck to you and your team, but I'm kind of hoping for Son to blank. Ken Back says who to bench, Neto or Anderson. I'd bench Joachim Anderson, or transferring Gordon for Neto -4. I think I'd just start Neto. Durgesh says Neto to Gordon or Udogie to Gabriel. Use one free transfer or save one free transfer or use both. I think Udogie to Gabriel is what I'd do. Neto to Gordon is also fine, to be fair, but I think I'd do Gabriel in. Alvarez or Solanke to start. I mean, Solanke has the better fixture, but yeah, I think I'd go for Solanke this week. Just about. Who would you transfer out Udogie for next week? Tsimikas? I just know that Haaland loves to beat Man United, so he'll be hungry to perform well against them. Yeah. And I think City will win, but it's just a difficult one, I think, with the captaincy. There's so many good options this week. Ma says Maddison and Matoma, or Son and Palmer and Adingra. Maddison and Matoma. Haaland or Son captain? I think... So for me, they're 4th and 5th in the best captaincy options this week. And you know what? I think Son... I think Haaland 4th, Son 5th. It's really close though. Kalehosta says start Bruno or Morris. I'd probably go for Bruno there. Darwin for a -4 and bench Bruno. And in defence, start Zinchenko or Colwill. I'd go for Zinchenko there, but he's not guaranteed to start. Tomiyasu's been really good off the bench, and he also was incredible from the start against Sevilla the other day. So I'd probably just go for Zinchenko in the hopes that he starts, but I'm not sure if that will happen. As for your other dilemma, I think I'd take a -4 and get Darwin. And if you decide just to roll or not make the transfer, it would be Bruno in for Morris. My midfield is Odegaard, Martinelli, Salah, Son. I mean, yeah, on paper it does scream points. It should. It really should. City have spanked United recently twice at home, but not away. Can they do it this time? Versus the Rock, that's Maguire. Well, they can do it. Will they? I'm not so sure. And if you look at it, since the beginning of last season, Man City have one win against top half sides. So last season, they only beat Arsenal at the Emirates in the top half. And I think, or maybe in the top 9. And also this season, yeah, of course, we don't know who's going to finish where. But yeah, that's something that is also worth mentioning. They are much better at the Etihad against the bigger teams compared to away from home. Do you think Ariella will keep a clean sheet today? I've gone for 2-0 West Ham, but I'm not that confident if I'm being honest, but still a decent option. Yep, I think Nunez will start. Start 1, Tsimikas or Romero. Abu says bench 1 as well. Maddison, Alvarez, Haaland, Gordon, Douglas Luiz. I'd personally bench Gordon. Joao Pedro and Gordon or Archer Matoma. Well, it depends, because if you have 8 attackers with Joao Pedro that you're going to be, kind of benching one every single week, I just go for Archer and Matoma. Would you do Fernandes to Saka? Yes, I would. I get your reasoning there, and Fernandes scored in this fixture last season, but I think Saka's a clear upgrade long term. JC, I like that. Dingra and Saka for Neto and Maddison. Wait. Oh yeah, Dingra and Saka in for Neto Maddison. Yes, I think I would do it. No Spurs news, unfortunately. Maybe there is, but I just haven't seen it. Juntao says Udogie, James Ward-Prowse, Almiron, and Maddison out for Tsimikas, Gabriel, Saka, Matoma, and Gordon for a -8. A -8? Yes, I think I'd just about do it. My only gripe is selling Maddison. Udogie and Maddison / Son to Tsimikas and Saka for free. Yes, and I've done the same moves myself, and also with a -4 hit to fund the moves. Yeah. What do you think will be the effective ownership of Salah in the top 500k? I wouldn't be anywhere close, to be fair, but I'd say over 100%. Yeah, maybe 120. Who knows? Any news on Udogie? No, but I think he'll start. That's not news. It's just my opinion. Odegaard plus Mbeumo out for Salah and Bowen, or Saka and Mbeumo out for Salah and Bowen. I do the first set of moves, but as I've said all stream, I think Odegaard will do well this week. It's just a long-term move. It will pay off. Salah and Bowen, they're better options than Odegaard and Mbeumo, and I'd keep Saka. So yeah, I'd get rid of Odegaard, but I think he'll do well. Definitely on one of the next 3 fixtures, especially Burnley or Sheffield United. Should I take Ward-Prowse out for Matoma free transfer? I think I would, and the reason why is simply for Ward-Prowse's positioning too deep for my liking in the last 3 game weeks. Before that, he was playing more of an attacking midfield role, and unfortunately it's not the case at the moment. James Westgate says, start Udogie or share? I'd probably go for Udogie. Junior Fantasy says, best midfield for 6.6 million or less. Already have Matoma. Worth Diaby, Douglas, Louise McGinn. Well, Diaby is 6.7 million, so you won't be able to afford that. So probably Douglas Luiz as a short-term punt. Is Borro over cash as a replacement for Udogie in a wildcard a good differential or not worth it? I wouldn't go for Borro over cash personally, but it is a good differential. Borro is a good option. I just wouldn't go for Borro over cash. I'd have both if possible. Wildcard locked in, bar last minute dilemma. Branthwaite, Powell, Matoma and Diaby, or Maguire, Cash, Bowen and Adingra. Really close call. Some tough decisions to be made, but I'd probably go for the second quartet of Maguire, Cash, Bowen and Adingra. Please, Diaby or Gordon? Diaby. Only as a short-term thing though. So up until game week 13 or 15, Diaby. Beyond that, Gordon. So you can always make that switch by game week 13 or 15. Gabriel Tsimikas, Gabriel. It's 1:15. Where is the Udogie update? No idea, mate. I wish I could give you one, but I'm not going to make stuff up for interactions, and I haven't seen anything, to be honest. Let's wait and see if I can get anything on Twitter. And I'm always very careful when it comes to leaked lineups on Twitter. Start Tsimikas or Udogie? Udogie. Udogie out, and for who? Or should I bench Udogie and play Alvarez? I think I just bench Udogie and play Alvarez, I think. But I can see why you want to do it, because you've also got 2 free transfers. Yeah, Odegaard is off form, but he's been like this season where he has one great game against Bournemouth, also another one against PSV, and then he has like a few sloppy games, and that's what he's been doing in the last 2. But I think games like Sheffield United and Burnley are great for him. Tsimikas for Udogie for a -4. I've only done it to fund other moves, to be honest. I don't think you need to, necessarily. Matoma or Douglas Luiz? Matoma. Start Maddison or Tsimikas? Maddison. Haaland, Odegaard and Mbeumo out for Watkins, Salah, Bowen? Yeah, I'd do it for a -4. Just bear in mind, next week you might want Haaland back, but that's fine. Start Neto or Udogie? Udogie. Goldhead says, realised I have 2 free transfers. Done Udogie to Tsimikas. I think a roll for next week makes more sense than selling Neto. Yeah, that's fair enough. I just think there are better options elsewhere in the midfield, but yeah, you're absolutely right there. I love the stream, Dylan. Thank you, Don Peters. I appreciate it. Should I start Matoma or Alvarez? I would go for Matoma. Yeah, Matoma is the one. Play Taylor versus Bournemouth or Neto versus Newcastle. I'd probably go for Neto. I think Bournemouth will score. Can you bench one? I'd probably go for Mbeumo bench. Yeah, Mossin, I said yes. Start with Adingra or Højlund? Adingra. Hi Dylan, 2 free transfers, Maddison to Saka or Archer to Nketiah, or burn down to 4 million for future funds. Already have Gabriel, Cash, Borro. I would do Maddison to Saka. Gordon or Diaby? Diaby. Adingra and Saka in for James Ward-Prowse and Maddison for free. Yes. You don't have to, by the way, but I think so. You should do a video about reliable leak sources. Would be both amazing and useful content. I'll keep that in mind. Generally speaking, you know, kind of what I class as reliable leaks is obviously, look, it's difficult because sometimes there is a reliable leak, but it's their first time doing it. But you know, there are several, you know, promising ones like FPL Newsletter. They have good information on Man City. I think sometimes streamers have information. You know, a source will message them, and then they'll have the leaks themselves. But yeah, there's also Spion Cop HQ for Liverpool. There's always a few accounts like that. But yeah, it can be difficult to come across. Should I start Mitoma or Alvarez? Mitoma. Bench Tsimikas, Soufal, or Neto? I'd personally bench Neto. I'd start Tsimikas for sure. Then it's between the other two, but I'd probably bench Neto. Ken says, buy Saka, sell Son, Maddison, Bowen, or Diaby. Well, if I'm looking long-term, Diaby's the one to sell, but I think what I'd do is sell one of Son or Maddison, and if funds are no issue, just sell Maddison. Is Watkins' captaincy okay over Salah? Yeah, it is okay. As you can see in the poll, though, Salah is the overwhelming favourite, also in my channel, where he's got a bit less of the vote in terms of percentage, but still over 60%. So yeah, he's going to be a popular captaincy option. And look, I'm not completely against going for Watkins this week. Thank you, Rich Mole, and I appreciate the shout-out. MJ says, hi, Dylan. I think that's Fatty or Mitoma, and Martinelli or Bowen. Mitoma and Bowen would be my answer. Sam says, captaincy. I'm currently going for Salah. Out of those three you said, it would be Watkins first, Saka second, and Haaland third. So the way you ordered it. Mitoma or Diaby? Diaby. Bench Romero, Ward-Prowse, or Bowen? I would bench... That's close. Bowen has to start for me. Then it's between the other two. And look, it would not surprise me now if Ward-Prowse hauled after I sold them, but I think I'd start Romero and bench Ward-Prowse. Yeah, UCL Fantasy went better. I don't really do reaction videos. I do analyze my team in the team selection video. So I say how I did. I talk about things I did right, wrong, and you know, go through the points. But yeah, you'll see my points totals and rank in the next video. But I think I have gone up by a few 100,000 places. I'm now in the top 100k. So a much better week this time. And I didn't even play the wild card. Reconnecting says, hi Dylan, Gordon or Neto? Gordon. Udogi for Gabriel -4. I think Udogi will play and start, so you don't need to do that, but Gabriel is a good option. I'm not against that completely, to be fair. If it was me, I'd probably keep Udogi. Dylan, start Darwin or Pedro Porro? Darwin. Start Gordon or Udogi? I'd go for Udogi, I think, just about. Saliba or Gabriel? Gabriel. The best wildcard defense without Trippier? It would be Gabriel, Tsimikas, Pedro Porro, Cash, and Tsimikas. Did I say Tsimikas? If not, I really apologize. Gabriel, Tsimikas, Cash, Pedro Porro. Yeah, I think I'd go for something like that. And Burn. Burn would be the fifth defender. So yeah, that would be my defensive five. It's all covered in the wildcard video. I show a draft without Trippier as well. Adingra, Douglas Luiz, or Gordon. This week it'd be Douglas Luiz, but overall, my preference is Gordon. Hi Dylan, what would you do with Estupinian? Well, he's back in training, but I think he's doing isolated training, so he's probably back for Gameweek 11. I'd probably keep if you don't have other fires to put out, but if you've got Estupinian, Taylor, and a doggy, then I'd probably look to sell, or at least upgrade one of your other defenders. What about Trippier? What about him? As a captaincy option, he's good, but I don't think he's as good as the ones in the poll. Yeah, now we've got less than 7 minutes remaining. Not starting Tsimikas, even though I just brought him in. Yeah, that's fair enough. I think it'll be 3-1 Liverpool. I'm just starting him for the differential side of it, the attacking potential, and the clean sheet is still possible, but I don't think it's absolute certainty. Bench Walker or Almiron? I'd bench Walker. Is Alvarez starting? I think so. Nunez or Alvarez? Darwin this week. Do you think Alvarez will start? Yes. Should I sell Trent to afford Maddison to Saka without a hit? I mean, that's the thing. Look, Maddison's still fine, by the way. He's absolutely fine, and you can bring Saka in Game Week 12, but with Trent, I just don't think he's worth that price at the moment, despite some good form in all competitions recently. Best defender for 5 million in Game Week 10 midfield? Probably Adingra. -4 for Darwin or Bowen? I would go for Bowen. Good long-term move. Thank you very much, Callum. The doggy and Diaby to Pedro Porro and Neto, says Anna Anderson. Not sure I'd do that, mate, because I think Diaby's a better option than Neto over the next 5 game weeks. I've gone Hannonless for the foreseeable future. Thoughts? Well, the one you're going to be really worried about is Game Week 11. If you can survive that, I think you should be absolutely fine until Game Week 16. Alvarez or Watkins? Watkins. Captain who? From the four you mentioned, it would be Watkins. Yeah, Ramsey, we went over that. Start Gordon or a doggy. I've gone for a doggy, but it's really close. Bench Alvarez, Burn, or Gordon. I would personally bench Gordon. Thank you, Callum, as well. Awali says, what's your plan for Game Week 11? Possibly roll, and then Game Week 12 bring in Gabriel. But look, I'm going to see how things go. But I made a lot of transfers already, taking a -4 hit this week. So I'm going to see how it all pans out. But at the moment, my initial plan would be to roll. But things always pop up, as you well know. Thank you very much to Richfield. Decided to captain Cash. I wish you all the best, mate. Hopefully it turns out okay. A doggy or Burn, who to start? I'd go for a doggy. Start Saliba or Tsimikas. Saliba. I've been switching between Sal and Watkins repeatedly. Yeah. If I basically, if I wasn't streaming, what I'd basically be doing is what you're doing now, and just switching between the captaincy and just, maybe flicking a coin or something. So I understand what you're doing there. Predictions I try to go over after the deadline. Apaf says, opinions appreciated. Would you prefer A, B, or C? And there's some -4 hits involved. Okay. My preference would be option D. So APAF, my preference is Son and Nunez to Saka and Watkins for 2 free transfers. Even if a doggy starts, I would not see selling him as a bad move. Yeah, exactly. Look, I think he'll keep a clean sheet today. But in the long term, the fixtures aren't great for Spurs. And I think that kind of yellow flag was an excuse to sell him, downgrade to Tsimikas, and bring in Bowen and Saka for my personal situation. But look, selling 2 Spurs players today, I know it's risky. From my behalf, I understand that. But yeah, I agree on what you said. Start Saliba or Tsimikas covered. Captain Saka or Watkins. I'm probably going to go for Watkins. He's my slight preference. Moment of truth, Salah or Watkins captain. I'm going for Salah at the moment. I might make a last-minute switch, I'll be honest. But yeah, I've said Salah all week. Dilip says, start free, Darwin, Diaby, Alvarez, and Maddison. It would be Diaby, Maddison, and Darwin. So I'd bench Alvarez, unfortunately. Gabriel, Gay, and Bowen, or Trippier, Powell, and Matoma. Gabriel, Gay, and Bowen would be my preference. Is Martinez advisable at goalkeeper? He's good for the next few weeks, but he's not someone I'd buy right now, to be honest. They face Spurs in Game Week 13. They've got games like Man City around Game Week 15, 16. That's when the fixtures really start to turn. So Martinez would only be good on paper for the next 4, I'd say. Next 4 or 5. Would you do Maddison and Neto to Palmer and Saka? Yeah, I think so. It's not necessary. I still like Maddison and Neto, but I think Saka is really worth it. Start Borro or Gabriel? I'd start Gabriel. Maddison to Saka for -4 or roll? I would probably roll, I think, yeah. Organ says, if I buy Salah or Watkins and the other horse, who will hurt me more? Well, the one with higher effective ownership will be Salah. He's going to be a more popular captaincy option. So, yeah. So I think Salah would hurt you more if he horse. Start Burn or Neto? I would start Burn. Nunez out, Archer and Arnold in for a doggy. That will make me start Alvarez. I'm not sure if I'd do that, though, because I'd actually rather start Nunez over Alvarez this week anyway. Yes, I prefer Alvarez overall, but not for Game Week 10. Yeah, 2 minutes to lock in. Does Salah return 3 weeks in a row? That's the question, though, Goldhead. But then again, with Watkins, he's blanked once this season, and he's returned 3 in a row too. So it's kind of difficult. But with Salah, he's got 2 massive returns on the bounce. So that also has crossed my mind. I'm not going to lie to you. Best 4.1 million defender. For a short-term punt, I'd say Lascelles. Dilip says start free. I think I've covered this. Just to say it quickly again, Darwin, Diaby, and Maddison is my answer. Yes, Mohamed, that's fine. Not my absolute favourite moves, but it's interesting. It's quite unique, and they're pretty good on paper. Start Nunez or Alvarez. Nunez. I nearly said Alvarez. Would you still bench Gordon if you had Burn and Trippier? Depends who Gordon would be starting over or being benched for. But yeah, with Newcastle, I think it'll be a lower scoring game this time round, dare I say. Worth starting Rashford over Cash, Trippier, Tsimikas, Saliba? Not for me. Alvarez or Gordon? Alvarez. 2 minutes to lock in. Gabriel, Gordon, Alvarez, who to bench? I would bench Yeah, I will bench Gordon. Nunez play? Yeah, I think so. Start Wilson? Yes, but not over Nunez. Darwin or Wilson in for Højlund? I prefer Darwin. Any team news? No, unfortunately not. And the deadline's literally just passed now. But I think a doggy will play. Let's see how it all goes. We are locked in, as Awali says. Thank you very much. Saka or Odegaard? Saka. But I have a good feeling about Odegaard this week and against Burnley. I think in those two games, I'd be very surprised if he didn't get a good return in one of those at least. So I'm backing him. But yeah, Saka's the better FPL option overall. Son to Saka. I've done it myself, but only to fund Jared Bowen in for Ward-Prowse, to be honest. But Son to Saka is a popular move for a reason in Game Week 10. Some people might have kept Son in the end because of his haul in Game Week 9. That's completely understandable, and I kind of anticipate that to happen. But yeah, Son to Saka, I would have done it, assuming you have Maddison already. Yeah, we are locked in, Callum and Twisted. Best of luck to you as well, Punjabi, and everyone else watching. I went with Watkins. Good luck there. Locked in, mate. Good luck all. Likewise. Let's now go quickly to the predictions. Let me end the poll, by the way, since we've literally got the deadline over. So 65% we went with Salah. Watkins was second in that poll too. We are 22 likes away from 200 likes, so let's be sure to do it. Yes, Awali, we will do that. As a Liverpool fan, come on, Salah. Yeah, even as a non-Liverpool fan who also wants Liverpool to drop points because of the title race, I also hope he does something. No Arsenal asset. Good luck, Lipuk. I didn't have any before this week, to be fair. Watkins gang, yeah, there are some. Trust me, there are. He seems like the second most popular this week in terms of captaincy. So yeah, let's Son hat-trick incoming. Piss off, honestly. Respectfully, piss off. That cannot happen. If it does, yeah, let's not even talk about it. Let's go to the predictions. So, Crystal Palace against Spurs, I think it'll be kind of a cagey, low-scoring game. 1 or 2-0 is what I'm kind of predicting. I'm going to go for 2-0 Tottenham. Chelsea against Brentford, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. Arsenal against Sheffield United, I don't know why. I have a feeling that Sheffield United are going to score. I don't know what it is. It should have made sense. Sheffield United have so many players missing. They're bottom of the league. They're struggling, but I'm going to go for an Arsenal win, but you know what? I'm going to go for 2-1 Arsenal. It sounds crazy, I know, but I'm going to go for 2-1 Arsenal. Bournemouth-Burnley, I'm going to go for 2-1 Bournemouth. Yeah, 2-1 Bournemouth. Wolves against Newcastle, I'm going to go for 1... You know what? Spurs-Palace, this is what I mean. I'm always kind of in two minds about some predictions. And look, I'm going to post my final ones in the Discord server when possible. But yeah, 2-0 Spurs. I'm going to go for 2-1 Chelsea. You know what? I'll back Arsenal a bit more. I'm going to say 2-0 Arsenal. Don't let me down. Bournemouth-Burnley, I'm going to go for 2-1 Bournemouth. 1-0 Newcastle. And for the Sunday games, West Ham-Everton, 2-0 West Ham. Aston Villa against Luton, I'm going to go for 3-0 Villa. Brighton against Fulham, I am going to go for 3-1 Brighton. Yeah, 3-1? Yeah, Liverpool Forest, I'm going for 3-1 too. And Man City, Man United, 2-1 Man City. Let me know what you think of those predictions in the live chat, but I'm kind of in two minds about some, like Arsenal, Spurs, in terms of scoreline, but the result is kind of the same. What do you think about Argentina versus England? Oh yeah, in rugby. I think England will win. They played early in the tournament. Argentina were 3-0 up, if you can even say that. And then England just wiped the floor with them. So, yeah, I think England will win the bronze medal and New Zealand win the final. I'm not a big rugby fan. I don't know much about it. But what I know is Argentina are decent, but England are better in rugby. Adil says, hi Dylan, what was your final team? You can see on screen here. I took a -4 hit and did the moves I discussed in my team selection video. I brought in Tsimikas, Saka and Jared Bowen for Udogie, Son and Ward-Prowse. Not ideal to sell Son and Udogie as part of a -4, but it was also enough to bring in Saka as part of Arsenal coverage. Tsimikas covers Liverpool defensively, and I also bring in Bowen, which I see as a big upgrade right now. Covering my eyes when Haaland plays. Yeah, to be honest, I'm the same with Trippier at the moment and Son. Saka's my captain. Let's hope he returns big. Good luck, Mohamed. Hopefully he does. I wildcarded and made some last-second decisions. I think I still have 1 million in the bank. Yeah, I hate that about wildcarding, just overthinking and making last-minute decisions. But hopefully it all goes in your favour. You're now going to destroy City. Wow. Wow, Lipuk saying GGMU. And you never walk alone. What's that about? 3-0 City or 4-0? Fair enough. I'm going for 2-1 City. 9-0 City and Haaland blanks. Come on, mate. What is this? Liverpool versus Bournemouth all over again? Maguire scoring 4 goals against City easy. Yeah, you're definitely taking the piss now, aren't you? Adil says, thoughts on my risky wildcard? Areola, Cash, Saliba, Trent, Salah, Saka, Son, Bowen, Matoma, Alvarez, Watkins, Bench, Turner, Tsimikas, Gay, Archer. I like it. I really do. You're well set up for the future too. No Haaland, of course, is the biggest risk, but your 50-man squad is very solid, mate. So I'm not going to say that Haaland thing because I keep on saying it, but apart from that, I think you're in good shape. Your team looks most balanced for most weeks, says Twisted Parky. Thank you. Yeah, let's wait and see how it all goes. Watkins for Alvarez for a -4. The deadline has passed, but would I have done it? Yes, I think so. 9-0 Liverpool, Salah blank, back to haunt us. Come on. Now, to be honest, I think Forest will put up a good fight. That's why I went for 3-1. But Liverpool should, and Salah should be involved, and Liverpool should win in the end. I did Son to Saka to get funds to buy Areola. Is it worth it? Yeah, I mean, look, I did something similar, but instead I brought in Bowen. I think it is. Look, selling Son isn't ideal, but Saka's a good option. Haaland leaving the pitch with tears. Alvarez to Watkins for a -4. Yes. Yes, Maxi, but remember, the deadline has passed. Watching any new shows? Yeah, I don't want to see any spoilers, to be honest, but I am watching Sons of Anarchy. Yeah. United taking points off title rivals, says Lipuk. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, fair enough. I see what you mean there. I mean, a draw would be ideal, I guess. Neither team wins. Yeah, that would be calm. I'm speaking a 2-1 Jammy United win. I mean, that's what happened last year, didn't it? And also with the controversial Rashford offside thing. So Spurs 12-0. Okay, calm down. It's 1 or 2-0, I'd say. But yeah, who knows? Thoughts on the decision to go Trent and Tsimikas, looking to sell Trent where they play City away? Thoughts on my decision to go? Yeah, I think that's the only thing. Like, I like the players. The individual selections are great. I just don't like the double up in Liverpool defence, to be honest. But it should pay off over the next 2. Long term, it could be a sell for Trent there. Maybe Wei-Seng, just like Chelsea bottled top half last season. You know what I mean? Had Salah, but did Watkins captain last second. Oof, good luck, mate. I have bad experiences personally when I make last-minute switches. Surendra says, finally done stressful transfers. Neto to Adingra and Maddison to Saka. Dylan, thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, I have to say, I like the moves overall. And look, Maddison is a great player overall, but pretty mixed fixtures coming up, and Saka's got some great ones, so it should pay off, mate. Good luck. Sorry, I didn't hear. What was your transfer? -4 hit Bowen, Saka, and Tsimikas in for Udogie, Son, and James Ward-Prowse. Is Udogie starting? I think so, but I haven't seen any news, to be honest. Thank you, Wally. Big up and enjoy the rest of your day. What do you think of Tottenham? You know that. Begins with S. What are your thoughts on Darwin Nunez on a wild card? No, I don't mind him. Apart from Haaland, Watkins, and Alvarez, he's the best forward for me. And I think he'll start this week. He'll do really well. Long term, there should be some rotation, which could be an issue, but he is a great option, I think, for the next few. I don't have Mbumo anymore, but I hope Brentford beat Todd Bowley FC. I don't think they will. I think Chelsea will get the win here, but possible. Maybe a draw as well. I would not rule it out. I think it's a difficult game to call, but I'm going to go for Chelsea 2-1. Yeah. R says amazing. Fair enough. Let's keep it. Yeah, we'll keep it respectful. I like that. Leonardo says, I did Pau Torres and Areola in for Udogie and Turner. Good stuff. Whilst he's not my favourite Villa defender, it's all good. Thank you, Callum Jr. I appreciate it. Some great questions posed by you and some comments. Who do you think will win the Premier League? I still think City. I think Arsenal are a bit naive sometimes. And look, great comeback against Chelsea, but I don't know. Arsenal haven't fully clicked yet. And for them to be in this position is quite promising, because if they reach their full level, who knows what they can do. But yeah, I think City will win. The most likely after them is Arsenal, in my opinion, then Liverpool, then Tottenham. No, I don't play AFC Mobile, and to be honest, I haven't played the new edition of FIFA. I tried eFootball, and it's got potential, but they just don't have enough game modes, unfortunately. Good luck, John. Thoughts on Pedro Porro? Good option this week. And even with the tough fixtures coming up, he's still decent, to be honest. Premier League not ready. Yeah, I think Nkunku could make a massive difference to Chelsea. I really do, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, a front three of Palmer, Nkunku, and even Sterling with no traditional striker could still do really well. I Captain Watkins, wish me luck. Good luck, Steely, even though that might be bad for me. Let's see what else we have. Adil says, was thinking of not getting Trent and instead going Darwin, but now with Jota starting and Gakpo back, I was a bit hesitant. I get what you mean. That's understandable, and there will be rotation, unfortunately. But I do like Darwin when he does get the nod. But yeah, Trent should be fine for the next two. I'm not expecting a Liverpool clean sheet this week, but it's possible. Finally, Captain Salah was stressed. Yeah, I finally captained him. I'm just looking forward to his blank. Adil says, where do you think Liverpool could finish? I mean, yeah, they could finish first, but I think realistically Liverpool finish second or third. I think not having that defensive midfielder, I know Endo's all right, but he's not even starting at the moment. I think that is already a big weakness. And also the defence. I mean, it's not been that bad, if I'm being honest. Only 1 goal more conceded than Arsenal and 2 more than City, but I think the defence looks shaky at times as well. As an Arsenal fan, do you dislike Spurs more than Todd Bowley FC? I don't really dislike... Look, with Palace, I have actually cost them quite a lot over the years, but that's because they've been getting results and some jammy decisions and stuff like that. It's been a bit of a nightmare, but nah. For me, yeah, Tottenham would be the most. Then it's Chelsea. I do hate Chelsea a lot, I'm not going to lie. I really do. But yeah, United is also up there, if I'm being honest. But in terms of FPL and when I'm making videos and stuff, I try not to let that, influence my judgment. But yeah, when I'm with my friends, I can't even speak English right now. I'm gonna have to end this stream very soon. Yeah, I do let out my hate. Let's put it that way. Good luck, Dylan. Good luck, guys. Thank you very much, mate, and good luck with your free hit. What's your plan in Blank Gameweek team? That is looking very far ahead, to be honest. I will give it more thought in a few weeks' time, and I'll try to cover it in my team selection videos. But right now, there's not a plan, to be honest with you. There's not really a plan there. I had a dream Salah 18 points. I would love that, mate. Honestly, I would. Can't wait for the London Cowboys cooking the second half of the season. Yeah, I think Chelsea will improve, and especially when Nkunku comes back, it should be much better. I used to captain Dallas, Trent, Reece. Yeah. Dallas, I remember his massive haul against City at the Etihad. That was mad. I just got into the stream as wildcarding, a good idea today. I don't know what your team situation is, Jared, to be quite honest with you, but Gameweek 10 wildcard, I can see the benefits for a lot of people there. Is Watkins a must-have? I mean, in weeks like Gameweek 10, yes, he seems essential, but you can still do really well without him, if I'm being honest with you. Diaby's good cover. Matty Cash. You've also got Alvarez, as you say, Haaland, Darwin Nunez. So I don't think he's absolutely essential, but is he one of the best forwards? Yeah. It's impossible, we're saying. It's just so difficult to get to games. I actually tried to buy some tickets today. It's like a ballot system, so I'll find out, I don't know, in a few hours or a few days whether I can go. But I have been trying. Thank you, Europa. 24k Will says I did Madison to Matoma so I can get Haaland in next week if needed. Fair enough, and Matoma should do very well with the fixtures coming up. What's the best thing to do if two of my keepers are playing each other? Oof, well, it just really depends. I mean, you could say home versus away advantage, but look, for example, if it's Vicario versus Johnston, I'd go for Vicario there. Yeah, it went well for me in UCL Fantasy. A big rank rise, my best week of the season so far, so I'll talk about that in the future videos. Yeah, I sold Son, and I might go and watch the game with some friends, including a Tottenham fan. Why am I doing this to myself? Yeah, I can see it going tits up, but look, I only did it to get Bowen in and also to bring in Saka. So I've got my reasons. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, Lundstrom, great option. Not for the captaincy, but yeah, he was really good at 4 million. Remember when Cancelo and Trent were must-haves? Yeah. Now Trippier's the closest to that in the defence, but we've got so many good options at the moment, 6 or 7, that it does make the game a bit more interesting in the last couple of weeks. Hopefully it continues. Matoma plays on the same side as Bassi from Fulham, who cost both goals against Spurs. Yeah, that's a good shout. And to be honest, I think Matoma will do well. And I see Brighton scoring 3 or 4. Are you active on any other social media? Yeah, Instagram, if you pop me a message there. The Discord server, there's a link in the description below. And yeah, I mean, apart from that, yeah, I'd say Instagram and Discord is the best way to also contact me. Feremi says, played wildcard this week, got 82 points. Nice stuff. I had the same day goalkeeper gutted not to go with Santiago Jimenez. But Morata scored at least. Look on the bright side. And yeah, Jimenez did very well too. Oh dear. Yeah, just fucking... I mean, look, not every woman is like that, but... yeah, geez, my mom is watching, by the way, so I've got to be nice. How many stadiums you been to back then? How many stadiums? I've never been to an away Arsenal game, but I've been to Wembley to watch Argentina. I've been to the Olympic Stadium to watch Mexico-Senegal. The old West Ham Stadium to watch Argentina-Croatia. Arsenal Stadium, I've been to the Rosario Central Stadium, Gigante de Arroyito, to see Rosario Central. So I've been to a fair few, not many, but a decent amount. Actually, I'll correct that, my lady. Maybe not everyone. Fair enough. Yeah, look like I said, it's all down to personal experiences and stuff, but yeah, not all of them are like that, trust me. Build up the Spurs hype, the fall will be so sweet. Yeah, you're a Liverpool fan, right? So you probably still have a... I don't even know how to say it. There's a saying for that, but yeah, look. Spurs are doing well so far. I think they'll continue to be top for the next few weeks, but we're all anticipating that kind of drop-off. I think we all are. Oh, no. Jesus, yeah. I feel like I rushed my wild card, so not too confident, says Adil. Also, now that I don't own Haaland, he's going to get that hat-trick. Yeah, to be honest with Haaland, I think he'll score this week and probably get the brace or hat-trick next week, so let's see. I mean, look, with the Emirates, yeah, I mean, it's fine. The atmosphere is better now than it was a few years ago. But yeah, Highbury just had that kind of close feel to it, intense atmosphere, close to the players. So you're never going to really replicate that. But the atmosphere is much better nowadays, I have to say. And look, I enjoy going to the Emirates, to be fair. Not many losses when I've been. I think we lost to Brighton. We lost to, no, not Chelsea, Man City. We got smacked 3-0 back in the Centurion year. But yeah, apart from that, generally when I go, we get the result. Imagine I was making my wild card while on the train. Yeah, I know someone who's, I think, doing something similar. Yeah, but to be fair, though, it's a good way of occupying your train journey. Which dark horse will qualify for Euro 24 for the first time? Italy? Can I even say them? I don't know, to be honest. I haven't really been following Euro qualifiers. I like the international break because I watch Argentina. I watch the South American qualifiers, and they're very intense, very competitive. And with Argentina, it's a joy to watch right now, the last couple of years. So... yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. You could say Ukraine or even Italy as a kind of outside punt with their position at the moment. Norway can still qualify, right, based on the Nations League. So maybe they could be a dark horse because no one expects them to do it, if I'm not mistaken. It is the history of the Tottenham, says Adil. Fair enough. They're going to win today, I think. With Max and C dominating, any other sport suggestions? Tennis. Oh, Djokovic. Basketball. I mean, I don't even watch that. Maybe watch basketball. Yeah, tennis is dominated by Djokovic right now. The big three have dominated for the last 20 years. So yeah, I mean, I don't know really. I really don't know what to say to you. Maybe MotoGP or watch Formula 2, you know, a bit more balanced. What's the next best week to wildcard? My team is okay and top of the league. Well, if it's okay, then, you know, and you're happy with it for the next couple of weeks, maybe consider Game Week 18 or 19 to set up a potential triple captain or bench boost in Game Week 20, assuming Man City Brentford goes into that week. We have a double, and you can use one of those chips there and have triple Man City and Brentford. Hopefully to travel to the UK for Euro 2028. Good luck with that, Waysang. Let me know how that goes, and let me know if you've been to any stadiums in the comments section as well. If you could pick someone to see as the England manager, who would you pick? That's a great question. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really support England. To be honest, I've just never been able to connect. If I had to pick... I mean, Eddie Howe could be a good shout in the long term, but Mourinho, no, not really. That'd just be... I mean, he could be good for the cups and stuff, and the national team could suit him, but it's a difficult one. I think Eddie Howe in the long term could be a decent shout. You don't even have to look at just English managers, to be honest, but he is decent. Anyone else, really? There probably is. I'm sure someone's going to mention a great option in the live chat as we speak. But thank you to everyone for watching. It's been a blast. We're going to get the lineups, the official ones, in around 10 minutes' time. Let's see if a doggy starts. As I've said all stream, I think he will. I could be wrong about that, but I firmly believe he'll be in the 11. And of course, I'm one of those people who sold Son. So to recap, my final team is Areola in goal, a back three of Tsimikas, Burn and Cash, a midfield five of Salah, Saka, Maddison, Bowen and Diaby, and a front two of Haaland and Watkins with Turner, Lascelles, Anderson and Archer on my bench. I took a -4 hit and I sold a doggy, Son and Ward-Prowse to Tsimikas, Saka and Jeroboam for a -4 hit. Not ideal, but let's see how it all goes, of course. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Our aim is to get this stream to over 200 likes before the very end, and also to keep on pushing towards 22,000 subscribers and beyond. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links in the description below for the Patreon, channel memberships, Discord server, and the FPL League. Mourinho, yeah, fair enough. Lipuk. Patrick says, did Rashford, Ward-Prowse, Alvarez, Matoma, Saka, Watkins for a -4, and Watkins captain for me. Good luck. Yeah, good moves. I've done something similar, and the captaincy is obviously very solid. Good luck, mate. Adil says, but has improved a lot over the last year, says Adil. I work occasionally at the Emirates, and the atmosphere or noise isn't that great. Yeah, look, to be honest, it's not going to compare to like Sevilla or Argentinian teams. You know, that atmosphere is unbelievable. I think the best atmosphere in the Premier League is probably Palace when they really get going. Newcastle as well in recent games. It's a hostile atmosphere to go to. So yeah, one of those two would be up there. I think Arsenal's atmosphere is one of the better ones. And also, one really underrated part of the Arsenal fan base is the away fans. I think they have the best away fans in the league. Of course, I might be a bit biased. I watch them every game, and they're always loud, and there could be others, of course. I think United away fans are good as well, but I genuinely think Arsenal away fans are great. Eddie Howe for England says Europa as well. Rush decision, says Adil. Yeah, let's wait and see how it all pans out. Move Trippier, Maddison out on the wild card. Terrified of Bowen, Trippier, Haaland. I'm terrified of Trippier and Son, so let's see how it goes, Sing. Hopefully Trippier blanks. If Alvarez starts getting benched, I'm screwed. To be honest, though, he was benched in the Champions League, right? So, yeah, I think he'll start against Man United, probably against Bournemouth as well. But, yeah, benchings is possible in the future. Eddie Howe for me too, fair enough. There probably is someone else as well. Or Roberto De Zerbi for England, but that means no Roberto De Zerbi at Brighton. Come on, surely that's going to be a bad thing for you. Southgate is devoid of it. Southgate has done a good job, but I just don't think he has what it takes to win the biggest honours. That's the way I see it. You know, the England squad should be top 2 favourites to win the Euros. They should have won the Euros last time out. You're at home against Italy. You've got to win that, to be honest, especially 1-0 up after a few minutes. Thank you, Adil. Have a good weekend. Lineups. Yeah, I mean, no lineup so far. It's going to come out in 10 minutes, but I'm going to be heading off. Your thoughts on a trip to the UK? I mean, yeah, some decent places apart from London. London's obviously going to be the biggest name, but there are other places to go. Lake District is decent. Wales has some great places. I've been to Scotland as well in January, the worst time to go really, but still had a good time. FA supposedly may convince Pep to coach England. Mate, if Pep coaches England, I'd fear for England winning everything, to be fair. I really like the walk to the Emirates, much along the walk on both sides. Yeah, that's a good point. The kind of structure is obviously safe of the stadium, but it's not as close as Highbury or as intense. But yeah, I mean, I do like the Emirates, but I always have that kind of feeling about Highbury, that nostalgia towards it. Thoughts on Everton potentially getting points deducted, but not City? I mean, the excuse is that City have so many charges against them that it's going to take so long to process all of the claims and the allegations against them. But yeah, I mean, it will be a joke if Everton get that 12-point deduction and City go unscathed. And it's probably just down to the lawyers. Brighton is good in a crap kind of way. Fair enough. I've been to Brighton once against Wolves. 6-0 win for Brighton, and it was fun. Actually, yeah, that's another stadium I've been to, the Brighton Stadium, last season. One of the best places in England, says Twisted Parky. Yeah, it's a good stadium. I had a good time there. Like a mug, I try to bring some beer into the stadium, which you can't do in England. A lot of great stadiums at London, though. Yeah, the Emirates is great, and the Brentford Stadium too, and Watford as well. Yeah, there's some good ones there. West Ham's alright. Yeah, I think that's about it though. Anyway, see you very much. See you very much. I can't even speak. Trying to skip away from Waysang there. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone for watching. It's been a blast talking to you for the past 3 hours, basically. It's been 2 hours and 58 minutes. So yeah, it's been a blast talking to all of you. There's going to be more FPL News Your Fantasy content to come over the next few weeks. Take care. Enjoy the football. I wish you all the best of luck for Gameweek 10 and the rest of the season. And I'll see you next time.